3, 2, 1. Welcome to The Dance, y'all. This is a podcast centered around the world of tree climbing competition and those that devote their lives to its pursuit. We're proud to share some stories of bells rung, swings had, ascenders that clanked, and the future of our craft. Harness up and get ready to sound the horn. This is the Smooth Saw. Welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the Smooth Saw. This is Jeff Inman, and we're bringing another episode to you. Pretty soaked on this one. We've got James Earhart in the house doing his thing, talking about tree climbing and tree climbing championships. We learn quite a bit about old Mr. James. And a lot of these stories are ones I've known for a long time, just from having been in the same chapter as James and been around James a bunch and climbed with him, and he's such a good dude, and he took a bunch of time to sit down and have a chat. So hope you're into it, because I always enjoy sitting down and talking tree climbing with James. It's never dull, never gets old, and I greatly appreciate it. Bummer that Evan couldn't join on this recording, so you're just gonna hear me and talking with James. But ultimately, that's why you all listen to it anyway, so you hear the other people talk and less of us talk. Maybe not. Hopefully not, actually. But regardless, very appreciative of James taking some time, quite a bit of time actually, out of his day, because before we actually sat down to record, we actually went and slapped one of my work climb trees here in town, and it was great. We talk about it a bit, but I think a cool thing to add as well is just that whole thing of like climb with other people that are better than you, or that are on the level, on a very similar level to yourself, and push one another. So we definitely push that work climb harder than any time I've done it just by myself. So it's yeah. You want to go far, go alone. I'm sorry. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I appreciate that time, James, and stoked to be getting ready with you and Steph to represent the MAC and North American in St. Louis. So hope you enjoy the podcast. Brand shout out. Thank you to ARP Session, Chapow. Be ARP Obsessed. Yeah. ARP Session is where you can get a bunch of really awesome tree climbing equipment and all the different supplies you would need as an arborist and tree care company, and especially as a tree climber. They're dropping new stuff every single day. I think the last thing I saw on there was the new Petzl Panton foot ascender that's got the like snowboard-esque ratchet strap, like bindings. That's the word I'm looking for. And it's a neat foot ascender. I got one to try it out, and it's definitely a little bit different. But anyway, ARB Session has it all. There have been very few things that I've wanted to either research or buy or anything like that I haven't been able to find on the website. So arbsession.com. Their Instagram is @arbsession. Get ARBsess. Use hashtag SmoothSaw for a bit of a discount on next purchase. And cruise on over there. Thank you, Courant Vertical Living. Boom, with the sweatshirt. And the awesome ropes and bags and harness and cordage and slings and friction savers. All that kind of stuff. Courant hooks it up. High performance ropes. It's what we were James and I were rocking out in the work climb. We were busting out was on Squeer, and it's fast and free, and it's a dope rope. So check out Crown Vertical Living, and you can get it at Arb Session anywhere that you buy your arborist equipment and climbing equipment. You'll find it all over the place. So Crown Vertical Living, check them out. Final shout out, Atmos Tree. Thank you, Atmos Tree, for putting 2 trees into the ground for sponsoring this podcast. Just a couple guys sharing stories about, James certainly a longer competition career than myself, but just a couple guys sitting down talking about tree climbing. And because of that, Atmos Tree is putting 2 trees into the ground. So thank you very much, Atmos Tree. You can find them atmostreeorg as the Instagram handle at Atmos Tree. They'll, it's a great organization. Again, talk about it, every time on the podcast. But their main point is to plant 2 trees into the ground for trees that are removed from a residential or commercial or really any tree care company. So if you are an organization that cuts down trees, that's lots and lots and lots of tree care companies, then consider checking them out. So that way you can feel good about removing trees, knowing that more trees are going back into the ground, but then also it's a pretty cool thing to tell your clients of, hey, we're going to remove this tree, but because we're part of the Atmos Tree Alliance, we are going to have 2 trees put in the ground because of it. So anyway, check them out. Awesome organization. With that, sure, hopefully it's becoming pretty obvious of how we're trying to be more consistent with this podcast. So we're my original idea talking with Evan was to try to mesh the Champions podcast, or the Champions of North American, into a podcast, and this one being 3 hours long, figured maybe want to break it up between James and Anna. So enjoy this one with James, and there's a lot of wisdom in this from a perspective that has long been in the game, who's watched the game evolve multiple times over, as well as his own evolution inside of it. So lots of wisdom to be gained. Thank you, Steph, for being cool with James coming down and hanging out. Thank you, Kelsey, for being cool with me having time away to hang out with James. And good stuff, good times. Pay attention and learn some stuff from old King James. So enjoy the podcast, and we'll close it up at the end. Cheers. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
Long time coming. Sorry this hasn't happened sooner, but
it's all good.
Stoked to have you on. Sorry, Evan, for having not really sorry, I guess, because that's just part of what happens with being a dad and being a husband. But Evan will not be joining us tonight because of family stuff. So, yeah. So, yeah, welcome to the podcast. And for those that don't know who this strapping young man is, who are you? Where do you hail from? What and what got you into this whole thing? Which I know is a very long story.
The whole thing being tree climbing championships.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Or contests,
So, a contest, yeah. Steve. James Earhart. I am from Hustle, Virginia. This is a crossroad in the countryside in the Tidewater area of Virginia, which would be closest to the town of Tappahannock. So, Eastern Virginia, out in the farmland, and What got me into the tree climbing championships was was 13 when I discovered tree climbing, and we can go into this a little
Oh, yeah.
deeper if you'd like, but the
Absolutely.
process of how this
Oh,
happened.
yeah.
But so by the time I was 15, I was pretty well along on my climbing journey. So from 13 to 15, I'd kind of figured out that there was professional arborists
Mhm.
and professional gear. And then the people that knew me knew that, and so there was a lady at the church I grew up in who brought a newspaper clipping to church, and she's like, "Hey, I think you might be into this." And it was, I forget what the headline said exactly. I probably still have the clipping somewhere in some folder somewhere. Um, and it basically was, arborists from the area will be competing at Mary Washington College in in Fredericksburg,
Yeah.
Virginia, which is the town I grew up in, not far from where I live now. And so my dad said, "Hey, that looks pretty cool. We should go check that out." And my dad was a welder, and so he was very pro us figuring out what we wanted to do in the trades.
Right.
Um, so I was 15 at this point, was pretty locked in on tree work, and I think he saw this as a way to really help that along,
Mhm.
and he was right. Um, so I didn't know what to expect, really. I mean,
Yeah.
that was probably a month before the comp, and so I was out climbing trees all the time, just trying to wrap my mind, just trying to imagine what this was gonna be like.
Right.
And, like, I mean, is this something I'll be able to, like, walk up to with my gear and, like, try, like, participate
Right.
in as a 15-year-old? I didn't really want to, but I didn't know what to expect. So for a month, like, I was just trying to imagine what a tree climbing competition was gonna be like.
Right.
Like, I had no clue, not the slightest idea what to expect.
I think it's a fair point also to highlight. This is before YouTube. This is before social
Yeah.
net, right? This is young 15-year-old because like 15-year-olds now,
Yeah, this is
you just have yeah,
2001,
right,
you know,
right.
and
So
I don't know when YouTube hit the show, but
right, but the whole concept of like trying to do research to figure out like what is this even like is, I mean, if you're
very
not reading a
limited.
book,
Yeah.
it's probably not really on the internet. And at 15, like you're
Yeah,
not gonna know where to even look.
it's changed a lot.
Oh yeah,
Um, I don't really know where you would have gone. You would have needed to know somebody or the newspaper,
right,
right?
right,
So this
yeah,
is how they spread the word. So the day finally came, it was like Christmas morning, and, wake up, get ready. I'll never forget that day at all, dude. And we show up to the park, no clue, like, they had marking, like, comp
right,
parking, TCC parking. Parking signage for your tree climbing championships is very important for this reason,
right.
right? And um, so we just followed the signs, parked the car, and then followed the people.
Hmm.
And then I'll never forget walking around the building, and there is the work climb. And, well, actually, the first event that I saw was the footlock.
Mm,
So leading up to this, I had The Tree Climber's Guide by Jeff Jepson, and I thought footlocking was a gimmick because I was out in my yard with the book on the ground and then the rope, and I was trying to, like, do the crunch thing and get my feet up high enough, long enough
right,
to try to lock the rope,
right,
and I thought it was a gimmick. So I was like, that may not be a thing,
right.
so I walked around the corner of the building in the footlock. It was footlock, blade speed climb, and then around the next building was the work climb, the aerial rescue, and then the throw line. So I saw somebody do the footlock, and it was like, oh, this is not a gimmick. They actually do it.
Right.
And so there were two events. The aerial rescue didn't really get my attention, um, but we got there probably an hour after it started in the morning, and I stayed by the footlock and the work climb for the entire day.
Mhm.
Like, I saw the throw line event, but that did not pique my interest
Right.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
I watched maybe one rescue, and didn't really watch, like, from the footlock, you could see the Belade speed climb, which was actually just a straight pull 40 feet through a block, a free running block.
Wow.
So it was the
Yeah.
body thrust,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So, and then the footlock was a 40-foot climb at that
Gotcha.
point. So, the yeah, I just stayed at those 2 events, and then, that wrecked my world, man. We heard about, uh, the final. We knew the final was there, but there was gonna be a break, and we didn't really know about the award ceremony, or
Right.
we certainly would have stayed. But we went and got some food. My mom went home. We lived about 15 minutes away. My mom ended up going home, and my dad took me back. And we sat there under a I could take you straight back to the tree. And the crowd was, like, off to the side, kinda looking at the tree. And this was the first Masters that I competed in 4 years later
Right.
in '05, so I know the tree
In the
really well.
same
Same
tree,
tree,
same setup.
same
Got it.
setup, yeah. Um, but I could walk you through every climber, what they did, the order they went, and I don't really know the order because we didn't stay past the last climber. We just went home after the last climber.
Right.
And, Michael Cotter won that one. That would have been 2001's. I can't recall off the top of my head. I think that may have been Baltimore or Wisconsin was the ITCC that year. I can't remember. Um, but Mike Cotter basically threw a rope into the tree. He used to throw with his back to the trunk, double-handed backwards. And he wasn't particularly pinpoint with the throw bag, but he just lobbed it and
Right.
took whatever he could get.
Got it.
So they were at that point, they were taking a safety blue, running it into the tree, tying it at the base, so they didn't have to isolate it,
Okay.
slamming a single hand ascender cam onto the rope, grabbing it with one hand, grabbing it with, hand on the
Yep.
cam,
Yep, yep.
hand on the handle, and foot locking 70 feet. He foot locked, single hand ascender cam, nothing else, 70 feet, lanyard in, tie your taut line hitch, throw it around the fork that you want, and just run. 3 bells. It was
Right.
probably a 5-minute event after you were tied in
For the
for
Masters.
the Masters,
Yeah.
just like a massive work climb.
Right.
And that dude pulled some moves that you would not believe. And he was just crazy that way. Mike was a wild mover in the tree. Um, and he won that one. And the other guys were very close, with the exception of the last competitor, who I won't mention. I don't think he would listen to this podcast, but I love him to death, and he's a great mentor of mine. But he was a little further behind the other guys,
Gotcha.
and so at that point, oh, and I will mention, I mentioned this on the other podcast I did a year ago with Paul and Brick. Uh, really want to drive home this guy, John Smithmeyer with Bartlett, came up and,
Mhm.
and introduced himself to me. And that was it made a huge impression on me. And for anyone else that's in that position, looking around the comp, when you see a kid or somebody watching, that was a huge deal.
Mhm.
And definitely make sure that you take the time to approach the young people that are there. Cause you never know what kind of an impression that'll make. Anyway, so we left, went home literally that day, tied ribbons around tree branches, and started training that day in 2001. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah.
And it's been a rocky love story since then.
Yeah. I know. That's just funny.
25 years.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the first. So my first competition I ever watched. I don't think you were. So 2012
Yeah.
would have been the first one I watched because 2013 was the first one I actually competed in.
Yeah.
So 2012 was in Maryland. Um, did you compete in that?
Yeah, I won that one.
You won that
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
Okay. So was it 2013 that you did
I
not
didn't compete in that
correct.
one.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's what it was. I couldn't remember which one it was. Um, but yeah, 20, I mean, I definitely didn't have the same kind of, I mean, I was older, certainly the first time I watched a comp. But the folks that I rode with wanted to.
I don't know that story. Do a rundown on that story, how you
Okay. So I had been at Bartlett for about not even a year yet. And one of my college roommates, um, was also working at Bartlett. So he worked at the Bartlett in Springfield, in Northern Virginia. And when that was the only Bartlett office that would actually offer me a job like out of college. So Kelsey and I moved up there and moved in actually with him
to Springfield.
to Springfield. Yeah,
You were
that's
working with Stu Bunn.
yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my introduction. Yeah, I'm happy we don't live up there anymore. But I do miss the folks that I work. I mean, Stu was awesome.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely love working for Stu and Kurt. And everybody up there was awesome. Anyway, like we my roommate Donnie was like, "Hey, there's these things called tree climbing competitions that we should go check out because you'll probably find that interesting, especially coming from a rock climbing background and doing." Kelsey and I were doing rock climbing competitions and stuff like that. So I rode with him over there, but he didn't really want to like hang out for very long. So I remember Tom Whitelock doing the Blade Speed climb.
Yeah.
Um, Because I mean, it was a very similar thing other than, like, I had been doing tree work, so
Yeah.
I had an idea kind of as to what was happening, like, Donnie had gone. I can't remember if he had competed the year before or if he had just gone to watch, but, like, he kinda gave me a little bit of a rundown. So, like, we went and watched all of them, but it was kinda the same thing of I really only wanted to hang out at Footlock and Work Climb
Yeah.
because those 2 were, like, um I mean, it's just the most impressive. Like, I mean, I still feel that way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I wish we still footlocked in a lot of ways because,
It's a very human event.
yeah. Um, so, but yeah, watching y'all run that Tulip Poplar work climb, which I then several years later, when I went to go contract with Chris, we went back to that park and
Yeah.
he reset it up. And I was like, oh man, this is
Yeah.
even cooler than what I remember seeing. But yeah, so but I don't remember watching. Well, I mean, we definitely didn't stay for Masters, so I didn't see your Masters climb there. I don't think I even fully knew that a
Yeah, that the
Masters
final
even
was
right, that it even existed. I thought it was just like, "This is what we are doing," and then it wasn't until after we left and they were talking about it because a lot of the guys in that office volunteered at the event. So, like Sasha,
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
I was on his crew for a little while and he was talking about, I was like, oh man, there's a whole other thing. There's a
Yeah.
whole other thing that we could have
Whole 'nother
watched.
event.
Um, so then in 2013, that was here in Richmond. That was my first one. And at that time, we had moved into the Shenandoah Valley. So I was working for a different Bartlett office. And then that's, when the bug really set in
Yeah.
for me of just like, holy crap, this is like, I thought this was cool, and this is actually so much cooler than
Yeah.
it actually is.
It is it's a gripping taskmaster, and it
Yeah.
does not let you go.
No, no.
It doesn't let you go.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
even, I mean, like, when I like trying to think when the first time I actually talked to you might have been at the comp in Waynesboro,
In 15.
in 15.
Man.
Because up to that point, it was just like, "Holy crap, that's James Earhart." Like, and then, like, I'd hear like, for the listener, like, if you don't know James very well, your memory of this game is second to none. Like, your ability to recite people's order, like, how they went about a
It's a
master's class.
curse.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
curse, but it was intimidating as hell, man. Like, I'm just like, "Holy cow, this guy is like this is like Michael Jordan over here. Like he knows every intricate little detail about what's going on. Like I
It's
don't
a
even know if I
curse.
can handle talking to this guy.
The problem with that is when you're wrong, you don't realize
Yeah.
it. Or you don't believe that you're wrong.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to know. It's good to know the perspective, but
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that. I had never heard that you're kind of the way that you actually discovered the tree climbing competitions. It's so good to hear from people that actually stick it out,
Mhm.
and are serious about it and give it the effort, to actually follow through
Oh yeah. I mean,
for sustained periods of time.
I know my that comp in Richmond, I think I was like second to last. Like
Yeah,
I haven't like had my butt kicked in an athletic thing that badly
yeah,
like before, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, well now I'm motivated."
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, my first comp was '04. I had the opportunity to compete in the '03 comp in Richmond. So which park is just north of town where all the disc golf is?
That's Brian Park.
That's Bryan.
Yeah.
It was there. The '03 comp was there, I
Okay.
believe,
Okay.
and I think there was a stabbing in the parking lot during the Masters.
Probably Brian Park.
Right.
Yep.
So that was '03, so it
Mhm.
was, whatever, 23 years
Yeah.
ago. I think it's a bit different now. I don't think that would
Mhm.
occur now. I'd be
No, no,
surprised
no,
if
no.
it would.
Yeah.
So it was pretty gritty, then. And Jerry Langham has that story. I mean, it's a wild story, just first, anyway. So then and then the one in 13, 10 years later would have been in Bird,
Yeah, that's in
so
Bird.
right
Yep.
in downtown. And
Correct.
that's a much less gritty park.
It's
Um,
accurate. What's funny is so Richmond, like I grew up down at the, basically Virginia Carolina border, Southeast Virginia. So Richmond was like growing up. That's where you go to get in trouble, which is interesting to see now how like Bryan Park probably has less going on. And I mean, Bird is still relatively safe, but like during the pandemic when we had all the riots and stuff here,
mhm.
that where we were climbing at today,
Yeah.
after we made like, after Kelsey and I made the handoff with Cedar to start cruising back, like, we drove right into an active protest where they were ripping statues down,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
So, I have a little bit of, like, PTSD in a way of
Yeah.
Bird Park, because it's also
Centrally located.
because where it's also in town is, like, I've had the most trouble in terms of people coming and, like, bothering me while I'm
Oh,
training.
okay.
Like,
Yeah.
they're not
'Cause it
just like, "What are you doing?" But, like, "Get out of here. You
yeah.
can't be doing this."
Yeah.
Even though, like, I've got the blessing from Richmond Parks and Rec to do whatever I want in any of these parks.
Yeah.
But that's part of why I like where we were climbing at, because most everybody
S
that's over there is pretty chill.
yeah.
That part of that's still technically kind of Bird Park, but it's the people over there with their dogs and, all the mountain bikers and stuff kinda park and enter in right there. It's a lot
They
less drama.
appreciated it, an
Yeah,
outdoor activity.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, but, yeah, because that park always gave me the impression of just being a little easier, but, um, we went I forget where I was going with that, but anyway, we
Yeah.
went down there and I was, at a wedding that year in 13 and then came down for the Masters
Mm.
and watched that one because I woke up on Sunday morning and I looked over at my wife, she's like, "You're going, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going." I'm go I've gotta see it
Yeah.
because 'cause we'd come home from the
Yeah.
wedding that was in Northern Virginia on Saturday, and, we were back home, and, I guess Jocelyn wasn't born yet. Abigail was born, but she
Mhm.
was pretty small, and, like, everybody was still asleep, and she's like, "You're outta here, huh?" And I was like, "Yep. I'll see you
Yeah.
in a bit."
Yeah.
And, came down and watched, and, it was good to watch it, and
Yeah.
then, yeah, no, that was, so that was your first. So, the
Mhm.
first time I think this is where I was going with that, but, yeah, the first time I remember talking to you would have been 2017.
Blacksburg?
Blacksburg.
Yeah. That was the
Uh,
first time I made masters.
you made the Masters that year, which kind of it sounds horrible, but it's just kind of a byproduct of that focus level.
Mhm.
It's not like any it's not really, and this is why I tell people I wanna be approachable, and I've tried to be more conscientious of, like, newer climbers.
Right.
Not I mean, you were 4 years in at that point, but when you're focused in on it, you don't notice the folks until they hit that
Oh,
radar,
yeah.
and that's generally the kind of
Oh, no, I get
that's
that.
generally the
Yeah,
radar
I get
line,
that.
so I feel really bad because I went back after that comp and I was like, well, who is this guy, and then I saw the picture of you were maybe third place work climb
Mhm.
in 2016 up in
Mhm.
Mount Airy.
Yep.
And there's a picture of you, me, and Drew
Mm.
up there on the work climb podium, and I have zero recollection of you.
Yeah.
So I apologize
No,
for
it's all
that, but
good.
it was
I mean, like, I didn't I mean, you couldn't have said anything to make me feel bad on that day when I made, like, podium for work climb
that was the
because
main
I was
event.
just like, "Holy crap. I medaled in something and it was work climb because
Yeah,
that was,
it
like,
was.
all again, like, I wanted to the 2 things that especially in that time, like, I was training footlock and I was training work climbs
Yeah,
because I was like, "This is the most fun."
yeah, it
Like
is pretty
and I
epic.
would miss masters by a point or 2 because I didn't practice rescue, I didn't practice throw line, and,
Yeah,
that kinda stuff, so
yeah,
but I
that's
do get
awesome.
I mean, I get that perspective, and appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate you apologizing, to a degree, but you don't need to, but I get it
I was
because it's
like,
like when you've been in the game I mean, now having been in the game, 13 years now, I can definitely relate to that of, like, there's so many people
yeah,
that come in and their fire burns bright, like,
yeah,
really bright for a while, and then it goes out
it
as
fizzles.
fast as it came on.
Yeah.
So
And you see it
yeah.
happen every year,
Yep.
you see it happen every year. It's interesting to notice that. Anyway, in a nutshell, that's kind of the long version of how I discovered them and all that,
Yeah.
early stories.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then it wasn't shortly after that we moved to Kentucky. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so funny. I remember I think it's okay to tell this story. So that would have been 2018 because
We
you were
moved in
Kentucky
20
in 2018-19,
we
weren't you?
moved in 2016, we moved to Kentucky. It
Yeah.
wasn't long after Mac that we moved there.
So
Yeah.
2017 was a rocky year for me in the comps. I started it, that was a year where I had the yips in the throw line
Mm.
for sure. Um, I had a series of zeros in the throw line events. And so in April, right after Mac, I had a really big problem getting into the Masters that year in Blacksburg,
Mhm.
and Drew crushed that year.
Yeah.
So I took a little hiatus, um, and also Leighton was pretty young and really working us over as far as his my wife more so than me, but um, he wasn't a good sleeper at
Mm.
all.
Oh,
S-
well, yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I took a hiatus that 17, and since I wasn't competing in ITCC in DC, so we went down to Charlotte, and I remember sitting there watching the Masters with Petrie and Deal,
Mhm.
Jason Deal and
Yep.
Corey Petrie. Uh,
Petrie.
Petrie.
Yeah.
Um, and they mentioned that you were moving out there, and I looked at those boys. I kind of looked over at them. I said, "Really?" I was like, "You're getting Inman, huh?" And they're like, "Yeah, this is great." And they were pretty juiced up because Corey was getting an employee. I think
Yeah,
you went to
yeah, I went to
Linmar.
work for them, yeah.
I said, "You guys have no idea what's coming." And and they kind of looked at each other like, "Huh, I wonder what that's all about."
Yeah,
And then you did 2 of them in a row.
yeah,
I think they got it by the
yeah,
time you were done with them.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
but that was good, man. I was like, "Okay."
yeah.
We threw down over there. And you'd come back for Mac every year
Mhm.
as well,
Yeah.
because that was 18 was a rough year as well. That was, that 17, 18, time frame, was a learning experience for me.
Yeah. I remember that American University Masters,
Mm.
and yeah, I gained a lot of respect for you that day when you threw a bag out and then called yourself for having a carabiner in it, and I was like, "No, that was so pretty."
Oh, man. That was
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That was one of those climbs where it was, so following the 2017, um, Mac, I said, "Okay." And so after 2017 Mac, we went to Charlotte, and I just watched.
Right.
I told my wife, I was like, "I just wanna watch. I just wanna be around the tree climbers. I wanna kinda try to catch that spark again."
Mhm.
And then in June, I went out and volunteered at the Midwest.
Mhm.
So, called Noel, I said, "Hey, man, I'd love to come out and hang with you guys." So I went out, and me and Jimmy Pritchard teched the we were both the tree techs at the work climb, which was awesome, and I ran 55 people through that thing without coming down. That was sick.
That's super cool.
And, yeah, and then did the in the tree tech the next day at the work climb. So that at the, Masters, and then, that was really good for me, and then went into the North American in Salt Lake City in October of that year and zeroed again in the throw line.
Mm,
It was really bad, man. So kinda had to work through that, and that was, like, Friday evening.
yeah.
It was the first year that well, I think it may have been the first comp I did that for that Friday format, or
Right.
maybe it was, the first North American we did that with. So I'll never forget, I'd realized, I'd basically scored I'd hit the 9, it wouldn't come down, and then hit the 5, had a rope in, and then so I was like, "Okay, I have 5 points," and then realized after the fact that I had penalized back to 0.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it was terrible. And then I'll never forget, we got back to the hotel, and I was so bummed about having 5 points in the throw line, but then realized, "Oh, man, I got 0."
Right.
And then we're sitting there, and I will never forget, it was a galvanizing moment, just, like, looking out at the mountains in Salt Lake, which has gotta be one of the most beautiful pieces of scenery in the lower 48, of just like, "Alright, I've got a whole 'nother day to climb and a whole 'nother day to watch at this point." And, this is just gonna be terrible. So, I said, "Okay, whatever." So, I was pretty down on the dumps, and then I got a text from Jimmy Pritchard that next day. Woke up on Saturday, got a text, looked at my phone, got a text. It was a text from Jimmy Pritchard. It was one of the most just encouraging things I've ever received, from one of the most encouraging guys,
Oh, yeah.
if you know
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy
Oh,
Pritchard.
yeah.
And all it said was, "It's a great day to excel." And I was like, "You know what? It really is." And I said, "We're just gonna go out there and we're gonna put this behind us and we're gonna really go and see what we could do." And I had one of the best days of competing ever, at that second day,
Right.
of North American. Um, and I'll never forget that. It stayed with me ever since then. And so that kinda came out of the fall, and then going into the spring at North America, at coming into Mac, I was all charged up, and I was spending a ridiculous amount of time in the harness at work.
Mhm.
Did some of the biggest projects that I've ever done going into that year. And, I did a 5-day removal right up here in the north of Richmond. It was insane. Um, just I'd certainly at that point reached a peak in movements and just comfort level in the tree, for sure. And then went into Mac and just ready to rock. and we did real well. Uh, I think Drew was a point behind me or 2 in the prelims, and then, went into the Masters, and it was the end. It was one of those it was in the quad of a university, so there was
Yeah.
no shade. It was early in the year, but it was
Mhm.
hot, so there was no
I
shade.
remember.
It's really interesting, just long drawn out athletic events where you start to notice, um, people fall off the wagon at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
You start to notice,
Yep.
significant amounts of, mistakes being made and just weird, irrational things.
Mhm.
And so I just remember thinking, just hang with it. You got 20 more. It was a 20-minute 3 bell Masters in a small pin oak. It's kind of like a big work climb.
Right.
Um, and I just remember thinking, and this was just 100% so they could get it done before dark,
Right.
which Flynn Anderson finished that up in the dark almost. Anyway, went out there, did the VTA, set the rope, ascended the tree, and was moving away from my anchor point in 7.5 minutes.
Mhm.
It was crazy, dude. I was rolling. And I just remember the movements were just spot on.
Yeah.
And got up to the redirect point where I was relocating my anchor out further out over the plumb bob and reached back for that retrieving line. And it was kind of the wind had kind of picked up.
Mhm.
And it's funny how your mind works in those times because installed the friction saver, put the retrieving line on, and then I remember thinking there was a like a secondary or a sucker limb that kinda came out below me.
Right.
I remember thinking I had to throw it toward the edge of the ring, the little light retrieving line bag, but the wind was gonna curve it around that thing, and, I needed to make sure I didn't throw it outside the ring, but not hang it up
Right.
in that limb,
Right, right.
and, I threw it. I called stand clear and threw it, and the bag that retrieving line bag flew in a straight line and hit the ground too hard,
Yeah.
and I turned away. You can see it on the video. I turned back to the friction saver, and then I stop. And it was the flight of that bag that made me stop. Like, that was way too straight.
Right.
And I turned back, and I will carry to my dying day the look of a gold shadow,
Yeah.
the
Yep, DMM
gold
shadow.
DMM
Mhm.
shadow attached to that bag
Mhm.
laying on the ground. And, all you can see my shoulders slump in the video. And I'm just waiting for the DQ call because
Right.
Randy
Oh,
Fackler's
yeah.
down there,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm ready for the roar, you know? And, all I remember the call didn't come,
Right.
and then I remember thinking, "Well, they must be giving me a pity run at this point, just give him a pity run and he'll, let him finish out because
Right.
all I had to do was come down and finish it." And, I just remember being conscious of the heat, like my face was, like, on fire, like
Right.
looking into a furnace, you know? And I was conscious of nothing up to that point, and all the blood ran into my face at that point. I just kinda let go and finished up the climb, and I think I actually broke the plumb bob rack, the slider
Right.
rack, got my revenge on that thing, out on the end of that thing and, got down and so forth and so on. Anyway, uh so that cost me my run to the uh, ITCC in
Mhm.
Columbus,
Yep.
which was, really, really hard, to do 2 in a row,
Oh,
miss
yeah.
2 in a row, but it happens, and, it would have been much harder if I'd have known COVID was coming 'cause, we're hurtling toward this line of missing 2 of them,
Right.
and then fortunately, I was able to snag uh, was able to go into Columbus and then work that Masters challenge, set up
Mhm.
that Masters with Tim and Rip and Tom Greenwood. And that was really educational, so I had 2 runs at international where I showed up and ran the preliminary
Right.
events. And that
Mhm.
was it's actually really, really helpful because then you get you get to know it, you get to run them and then follow the the strong competitors
Right.
and then kind of compare them to your
Mhm.
performance. And so that was really helpful for me. And then was able to come back and in September of 2018 go up to Providence and win the North American and really delved into the sports psychology um side of things. At that point, just coming out of certainly having the like the yips and the throw
Right.
line where your confidence is gone
Oh, yeah.
and to really try to really delve into that mentality and managing your mind and working with that confidence issue. Go into come out of that international, which by the way was a stunning performance by you in that Columbus Masters.
Thank you.
And then go up to Providence in September and have a win.
Yeah.
And that was huge.
Oh, yeah.
That was really, really big to
That
qualify
wasn't the
for.
first one you won. Oh, it
Mhm.
was the
Yeah,
first
that
North
was the
American.
first one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first
Okay.
North American, and then that was a big deal for, for the mentality,
Mhm.
coming the confidence coming qualifying for the next summer in Knoxville. And then so you had qualified, I guess, in Kentucky.
Correct. Yeah.
And then uh and just putting that work in. I did some traveling, so not too much work, but um set out. I didn't compete that MAC. Did you visit us that MAC and compete? I want to
That would
say
have
you
been
did.
that would have been
Yeah.
Morven Park,
Yeah,
right?
in 2019 in the
Yeah.
spring. Yeah, you were a
Yeah.
guest climber that year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, at American University and at Morven Park, they uh they were like, we're gonna have some out of chapter climbers, and then they reached out to me and be like, do you want to be our out of chapter climber? I'm like, well, yeah, like I would love to compete at Mac, but also this feels a little funny.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
um
that was awesome because
yeah.
I mean, once a Mac guy, always a Mac guy,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And,
It's good to be home.
yeah, yeah. So, Joe Hedger competed in
Yep.
in in 18 at AU, at
Hmm.
American University. But yeah, so that was really helpful to be able to set out and volunteer at Mac and not have the pressure. And then that spring, you had your Appalachian comp, which
Hmm.
was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a great comp.
It was fun.
I still have that shirt, by the way. But and then got to go into uh ITCC and do something that I really never thought I would do, and that was win the preliminary round. Um, and just really, man, that was crazy. I was so grateful for that. So, and then we had COVID, so that
Right.
would have been, those two 17, 18 would have been a lot harder to take if
Yeah.
I guess there's a reason we don't know the future, right? So,
Well, let's pause for a second because you've kind of like you've just flown a plane right over like a really big detail in this whole history of
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
and
uh,
and then if
yeah.
there's another way you want this to go, fire away on questions, but I'm just kind of wrapping.
No, no, no,
It's
no,
like,
no, no. This is great. This is great. I mean, because so much of this, like, I, I mean, I have, I guess, the unique honor and privilege of knowing you as a friend, and so I know a lot of this, but I would say a lot of folks don't. So, anyway, but they do know that you did win the worlds, or at least I hope they know that you did win worlds. Like, if not, James won worlds. Yeah. So I've rewatched that climb pretty often. It's funny even with during the North American that we just did when I showed up, sit down, and they're like, "Oh man, like I didn't think you'd be here, Jeff." And I'm like, "This is my sport. Like, why would I not be here to watch this? Like, I love watching this. To an like most of what I watch and just consume in general is like YouTube golf and tree climbing stuff,
yeah,
right?
I love
So,
both of those
oh
myself.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
you're talking they were surprised you showed up to the Masters at North American
correct,
after the preliminary round.
correct, correct.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Sit and pout? You know?
Exactly,
You can't do
exactly.
that, you
No,
know?
no.
Yeah.
But where I was going with that is like that Masters climb of you winning back in 2015. Like
Yeah.
I've watched that multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go and walk through that a little bit. So
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah,
yeah, I'd
yeah,
kind of forgotten about that in talking about what we were discussing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so this is great. All right, so then rewind a few years. All right, so 2014. Go back to 2014 because then we were talking about 2013
Mm-hmm.
in
That was
as your
Burkhardt.
first comp. Yeah, 2014 would have been um oh goodness, that was the same park. That was the Arboretum, the same park. So for those that are listening, the Arboretum is the place where they hosted the ITCC in 2017. It
Correct.
was just a different
Yep.
section of the park,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an interesting comp because I showed up to that comp after missing. I hit every other year. I hit '08, 10, 12, 14. So those were the comps that I hit. I did not hit the odd years on that one. I missed 11, 13. I missed 9, 11, and 13 at MAC at the chapter level. Um so I came into 14 and not I didn't do a ton of practice back then. I would do some practice leading up to the comps. MAC is always in April, and so that particular year it was cold.
Mm-hmm. I
Were
remember
were
that.
you
Oh
there?
yeah.
Did
No,
you
I was.
compete at the
Yeah, I did.
Arboretum?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Arboretum was probably 30-mile-an-hour winds
Mm-hmm. It was
sustained.
brutal.
That was the thing, and I had no voice,
Yeah.
like 0
Mm-hmm.
voice, which is not what you want in a comp that's
No.
windy,
No.
in the city. So I showed up to that comp. I was feeling fine, but I was spending an incredible amount of time just pruning trees,
Mm-hmm.
just lots and lots of tree pruning, because it was me and John Ernst and Brian Campbell.
Gotcha.
I think Brian had come back from Charlottesville that at that point. He may not have been back with us, so it may have been just me and John Ernst.
Mm.
Who was a huge mentor of mine and a great guy. I love John to death. Um, so we went into that comp and I remember standing up on the road, kind of overlooking the events because the
Right.
events were on that
Yep.
hillside, and just taking it all in, just trying to get the feel for the day, and how it was gonna go. And I remember thinking, all right, it's windy. There's gonna be a lot of problems today. Just dial it back and don't worry about meddling in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't make mistakes.
Right.
Just dial the football lock back because there's going to be a lot of mislocks.
Oh yeah.
Dial
Yep.
the blade speed climb may be okay because nothing's moving.
Correct. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of issues with throw line. There's going to be a lot of issues with work climb. And then aerial rescue may be okay because it's minimal,
Right.
just minimal
Oh yeah.
moving
Yeah.
components. But I just remember thinking that, like, okay, just dial it back and see what you can get away with. And you may actually do fairly poorly in
Right.
the prelims, but just don't make mistakes,
Right.
you know. Um, so went through the events and throw line went really well actually. I think it may have been even 2 throws. Uh And then footlock went okay, but a lot of the heavy guys, a lot of the heavy hitters missed locks because
Mm-hmm.
that rope was blowing
Oh yeah.
the rope away.
Yep.
And I remember I turned my back to the wind, and then so the rope was blowing out of my feet, so it
Mm-hmm.
stayed ahead of me, and the guys that were footlocking facing into the wind,
Yep.
the rope was blowing into their, too far into their body. Um And it was crazy because I ended up sweeping that event,
Mm-hmm.
first and everything, and then,
Yeah.
I couldn't it just blew me away. I couldn't believe it,
Yeah.
you know? And it was just such a mental lesson, I guess the point of saying that, it was just so contrary to the way I thought it was gonna go.
Right.
Um, and it was just such a lesson because I wasn't trying to meddle in anything at all.
Right.
I was just trying to keep my head above water.
Right.
So went into the finals on that one and did real well. It was kind of like a big work climb. That was a 4-beller, but it was snag a redirect after the first 3 bells and then drop down and hit it. But I did rope walking on that one. The old frog style.
Mhm.
Well, it wasn't really frog. It was foot ascender, foot loop on a hand ascender. So it was
Is that
kind of that
Texas?
modified frog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in L.A.,
Mm-hmm.
Texas, yeah.
And rope walked on that one. And so that went pretty well. Qualified for actually, you know what? That was an off event. So we'd had for some
Oh,
reason, the timing was off that year.
that's
I
right, I remember
qualified
this.
for Milwaukee on that one.
Got
So that was
yeah.
Milwaukee. Milwaukee was standard timing. Went into Milwaukee, which would have been in the summer of that year. And I was first in rescue and way overthought it. And I remember Scotty Forrest telling me that I remember laying my plan out for Mark Chisholm uh, that after gear check in 2014 in Milwaukee. And this is all kind of a long-winded answer for laying
No,
the
it's fine.
groundwork. This is
It's
kind of
great.
laying the
There's
groundwork
tons
for
of things to
mentality
learn
going
from
into
this.
2015. So overthought, essentially overthought the rescue. I was
Right.
first, and that's always a nervy place
Oh,
to
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But as a climber who is trying to hit that cut line for the first time, um, and this by the time we'd gotten here, it was my fourth. 08, 10, 12, and 14. 12 in Portland. In 2012 in Portland, I'd finished 7th, which was a pretty good finish. I was happy with 7th. So we're coming into
Right.
2014, really charged up,
Mhm.
and so I overthought the rescue. And I remember Mark. It was so funny. He listened to my plan. He was very courteous. Listened to it with a it was very interested. And he kind of looked at me and he was like, "You think you have time for all that?" It was a brilliant plan.
Right.
And he's like, "You think you have time for all that?" I was like, "I think so." Why? He's like, "I always try to keep it simple."
Yeah.
And Scotty Forrest, I asked Scotty after because I was in his group there, and I asked him if he was ready for that rescue, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it simple, stupid."
Right.
The KISS factor. And man, he did. He absolutely did,
Yeah.
and he smashed it. And I think the only thing that he didn't do that I recall was put friction under his device for the pickoff.
Okay.
I don't know how they scored that. I asked him afterwards because I noticed that his rope trailed back through the tree. And I said, well, was that the friction? Like, was that counted for the friction? He's like, I don't know. They could have penalized me pretty heavily for that. Um, it didn't hurt him too badly,
Right.
because he ended up winning the prelims that year. But it was really helpful to go through right behind, and have Scott come behind me on that one. I also got to be right behind him in the work climb. And so I was up in the tree with him,
Gotcha.
and that was pretty sick.
Yeah, that's super cool.
To watch somebody as fast as Scott Forrest run a work climb from the top. And so anyway, I went through there, timed out like coming down. It was a horrible. I think I might have scored 13 points in that rescue. Went into the blade speed climb. The blade speed climb was wet,
Mm.
and the ropes that were in the trees that were marled were wet,
Oh, wow.
and they were brand new 16 strands, and I
Mhm.
had a pair of rubber gloves on,
Yeah.
like the Atlas
Yeah, yeah.
gloves. So Atlas gloves and wet ropes do not mix, and
No,
I
they
didn't
do
even
not.
didn't even cross my mind. Didn't even cross my mind. And I got second to the last of the entire comp, males and females, second last. It
Yeah.
was really rough.
Yeah.
So I had gone through 2 events and had 13 points on the board,
Right.
and I was like, "Man, this is really bad." So going into the last 3 events, the work climb, throw line, footlock, I was like, "Man, I can certainly do." I was pretty discouraged.
Right.
And Joe Hedger walked up to me. And I didn't know her terribly well at this point. And she we just passed each other walking through the park. And she asked me how the day was going. I was like, "Oh, it's not going all that well," and just kind of told her. She's like, "Well, you got a lot of climb left in the day. You got the whole afternoon. Do
Right.
the best you can. Put it behind you. Do the best you can." And there again, it was like what Jimmy Pritchard told me 3 years later in
Mhm.
2017, but this was like the first time that I'd heard anything like that. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. Screw it. I'm gonna give it my best go and just
Yeah.
put it behind me. I don't know what this will look like, but I'm just gonna give it my best go. Not try so hard, just like focus on doing the things. And ended up finishing 4th place work climb, 4th place footlock, and 3rd place, maybe 2nd place throw line.
Yeah. That's huge.
Um, and if you just counted those events, I was 4th place on the day. And I was like, you know what? I can do this.
Mhm.
I can do this. This is something that I am capable of doing. And so it was good to do. So that all kind of set the stage for going into the next spring.
Right.
So this is August and ITCC was going to be in March.
Right.
So not too long
Right.
at all. It was relatively short.
And this is the year that Mac held the, like, invitation. Yeah.
Invitational,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we went in, this is August, invitational was October.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think I did any training at all. I was just working. By the time that invitational came along, I was in the middle of a month and a half pruning contract on one property. Um, which is like this dude has owned this house for like 9 generations. And so he had just had us prune everything on the property. And it
Wow.
was me and another climber. And it was, dude, the trees on this place are gigantic. Um, and so I was in the middle of that pruning contract and I threw down, I remember it was really funny, walked up into that park and it was a big tree. That invitational tree was pretty big. I think there's some videos on YouTube of this one. But I just remember thinking that the tree didn't even tip the scale in my mind on
Yeah.
like size at all.
Yeah.
And the bell spread like
It was just kinda like just another day.
it was just another
Right.
day. And it was really funny because one of the climbers walked up to me and they were like, "Man, this is a huge tree, dude." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess it is kind of a big tree."
Right.
But, to somebody who doesn't work in these things every day, but that climb, it went a little bit sideways because I got off the ground uh and with not a lot of time left. It was like halfway done.
Oh, wow.
And then had to foot lock up into the top of the tree. I was foot lock, and this was kind of when single rope was kind of hitting the fan.
Right.
And it was scattering everywhere and getting all over everything. But I was still kind of holding fast to
Right.
my like foot lock up, throw in your moving rope,
Right.
hit a
Yeah.
station or two off of that one. And in
Right.
that one it was 2 stations off the secret weapon.
Mhm.
Go up to the top, put in your friction saver, and go down,
Right.
and hit 2 more. But I ended up doing it. I was the only person to finish, and out of 9 people, I was the only person to finish. I couldn't believe it. My wife ran up to me after I finished. She's like, "You're the only person to finish so far," and I was like, "You are kidding me." And so that always makes you feel
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of relieved.
Oh, yeah,
You
absolutely.
don't
There's
want that to work out that
20-point
way, but
difference right
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah, it kind of sets you up for a good place. Um, so yeah, that set me up for Florida. Went into Florida. Um, and I remember watching a Jerry Rice documentary, and Jerry Rice is, for those of you who don't play American football or don't follow American football, which is one of the greatest sports on earth, by the way. Um, Jerry Rice is one of the best wide receivers. He played.
Absolutely.
He caught a few. Caught the tail end of Joe Montana's career, who one of my very favorite quarterbacks, and then received for Steve Young,
Mhm.
and Hall of Famer. I mean, an incredible player. But Jerry Rice would put up. He'd just show up, put in the work, a lot of work,
Mhm.
and then show up and put up quiet numbers. He just showed up and quietly put up numbers in the game. No, because a lot of receivers are divas,
Oh,
and
yeah,
they
absolutely.
party and
Yep.
make it's a big high hype position in
Mhm.
football because you're catching the ball and scoring the
Right.
touchdown,
You gotta be fast, gotta be quick,
Yeah,
nimble. Yeah.
and Jerry was a quiet numbers guy. And at least that's my impression of him. But I remember thinking, like, I'm just gonna go down there and I'm gonna put up quiet numbers
Right.
and not really say much. I just want to do this. So I was in this was kind of before that low point with throw line. So I was pretty accurate with the throw line at that point. And I did a lot of training at this point. And so going in, I guess I guess when I say I didn't do a lot of practice leading up to it, but what I would do is I did train a lot of practice at like different points of the year
Mhm.
uh on lunch breaks.
Yeah.
I would do a lot of masters on lunch breaks, and
Yep.
we could talk about that and why I did that later on. But so I guess it wasn't as disciplined as it is now.
Right.
Now I've kind of kicked it up to another level of discipline, but um but then it was probably more scattered and less structured, um, more organic.
Which I kind of feel like that's a lot of that era too, was I mean, the game has definitely evolved a lot now, but certainly so is the training.
Yeah, 100%.
You didn't
Yeah,
really hear much in the way of people doing much training.
yeah.
I remember hearing the lore of James of oh yeah, every morning before he wakes up and he goes and he footlocks 5 rounds before he ever leaves the house to go to work.
No, that's not true.
Well,
Completely untrue.
well, but it was
That
just
never happened.
yeah, but it was just holy crap, who is this guy? Yeah,
Yeah. I'd come home and do that, but not before work.
yeah, and
But
yeah,
yeah, so training, whatever. So showed up to Florida, and then I remember doing that and just not really trying as hard, but just really kind of focusing on the actual thing. Like in the work climb, at the top of the work climb, just focus on the movements.
right,
Focus on the stake toss. Don't get too wrapped up in the moment. Um and then of course, cleared fourth place. I think I was 1/4 of a point ahead of Fritz Vanderveer from Belgium.
hmm
And man, I lost it when they called me on that one, because I didn't know. There was a lot of us jammed up in that
right,
spot, and I didn't really know. But did just enough. And I knew I was right there. And then moving into that Masters spot, I was a rookie, first time in the Masters. Obviously, it was going first in the rotation, which I was content with
right,
because I wanted to watch the other
right, right,
guys.
yeah,
And I was going against Mark Chisholm, who's a three-time guy. He's 3 titles. Scotty Forrest, who had 3 titles, and Jared Abergina, who had one. And I don't know that at any other point in ITC's history has a rookie first timer gone against 7 world titles
right,
before. Like all 3 of them were
pretty
full
nuts,
on veterans. It's generally a little bit more scattered out than
right,
that. But I just went in and tried not to make a fool out of myself.
yeah,
Literally, that's all I did. I went in there, looked at the most direct, cleanest route that I could find, and I wanted to get the plumb bob right.
Mhm.
I really wanted to get that right. I felt like that was important,
Right.
and, I knew I had time for it because that tree, those kinds of trees with lots of limbs are were I was really comfortable in those kinds of trees.
Yeah. Live oak. It
And
was a
yeah, a live
yeah,
oak,
big live oak.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty decent sized little live oak. It wasn't crazy big, not a high throw line shot, but was able to get the first throw high level, and then I kinda did it back to front of everyone else. Everyone
Okay.
else kinda started on, like, the other. I think maybe Mark did a different route than everybody. I did a different route than everybody, and I think maybe Jared, I think I can't really remember because I was out off to the side. I didn't really watch them. Um, but I think Scotty did kind of a reverse route to me,
Gotcha.
semi-reversed route to me. So, um, I just got down and I could tell once I'd finished. I looked down after the last bell and the judges' faces were kind of different than I'd ever seen before. And I was like, huh. And I kind of, my mind kind of drifted back. Like it was the first time I had experienced flow state, like
Right.
a state of
Yeah,
flow where
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not really thinking, you're just climbing.
Correct. Yep.
You're just doing. And I'd kind of at that point I kind of popped out of that and kind of was like, well, I did kind of well actually. That went pretty well,
Yeah.
you know? And then I came down to the ground and then retrieved on a soft catch um and then retrieved my rope and that was that. And then I kind of became conscious of everybody else. But I kind of won that a little too soon. I had no idea. I'd really wanted to win the worlds, of course, but I thought it would happen a little later on
Mhm.
after maybe a few, and it was too simple.
Yeah.
I'd won it on a friction saver and a footlock prusik.
Yeah.
And then I did a quick draw going down to the prelims, but that really threw me for a loop. It was it wasn't easy, but it was very simple.
Simple.
It
Yeah.
was a simple climb, and to me, the world championship needed more than that. And so that all I had my opportunity a few years later, but that didn't go so well. Um,
Copenhagen.
yeah, yeah.
What
Anyway, that was kind of winning the worlds, and then
yep.
after that, man, uh, I really went into a tailspin. I
Yeah.
really kind of shot off because up until that point, it was 11 focused years. That was 2000. Well, if you count 2001, the gap before I started competing, but basically 2001 to 2015. 2004 was my first comp, but so it was like 11 if you count that age gap or
Mhm.
that year
Yeah, yeah,
gap.
yeah.
A very, very concerted effort of I want to win the world championship. That was like an undying goal at that point. And it kind of happened a little sooner than I thought it would. And so I got shot out into the ether,
Gotcha.
you know? So I mean, at that point, I was running a very small operation. It was just me and two other guys. It was Brian and John. John was still with me at that point. And I came home and I was talking about selling everything and going to work for Maryland Capital Park and Planning Commission. Um, just because I really didn't have anything else to climb for. There was
Gotcha.
nothing else to do.
That whole, like, this was the goal.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I'd done
accomplished
it.
the goal, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this kind of sucks,
Right.
you know? And And I really, really kinda I'd kinda discovered golf in that time
Mhm.
frame, and, man, I mean, it really threw me.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for that at all, and spent a lot of time learning about Olympic gold medalists, which is kind of a sad story, if some of those folks that give so much time to something and then they achieve it and there's nothing else to do. And
Right.
so some of those folks have a success in life and some of them it's just an absolute
Oh,
disaster.
yeah.
And so after that, it kind of went into that defending the world title was a weird that was a weird mentality. Um I Yeah, I got a 0 in the throw line there. Oddly enough, last weekend I competed at that park at the Texas comp, which
Yeah.
was really interesting to go back to that park and climb in those trees.
So you were defending in San Antonio,
Mhm.
2016.
Yeah, I got a 0 in the
Yeah.
throw line and
Yeah.
never had a snowball's chance at making the finals after that. That was really tough, and then that kinda
Right.
segued into that whole 2017, 18, 19.
So that, like, started the yips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
0 really killed me,
Oh, yeah.
and then one of the things that came out of that whole thing was the glove. I get a lot of, questions about the throw line
Mhm.
glove, and which we can cover that later. Anyway, that kind of it's a long answer, but that kinda covers
Right.
the 2015 winning the world experience,
Right.
and then yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you, because I think that's a powerful thing for everyone to take away as well, is the whole, like, you hit the mountaintop. It's funny, even, like, I've said it in different episodes as well, but, like, in those early years, next to my pull-up bar, would have a whiteboard next to the pull-up bar that I would write, like, inspirational stuff, but one of the things that was always written on there was "Beat James," right? Like like, in capital letters, exclamation points, "Beat James." And, and and it's kinda in this in not it's not quite the same other than just the whole, like, the winning component of it, like, the year I beat you in Blacksburg, I was like, "Well, I beat James, but Drew beat both of us."
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah,
Right?
that's the problem with that kind of a goal.
Right.
It may come easier than you think,
Right.
you know?
Even, like, the winning yeah, like, haven't won Worlds, but the way that you're talking about that is in a very similar thing of just, like, well, yeah, you wanna win, but
Yeah,
also, like,
yeah.
what happens on the other side of it?
Yeah, you get
R
shot out into the ether.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the feeling of being I assume is what it's like, in space. You're just in space, like flailing
Mhm.
around, and there's no direction. There's no up. There's no down. There's
Yeah.
no anything.
Yeah.
It's just, or like being shot off the back of a boat into the water.
Mhm. Oh,
There's
yeah.
like you're just out there.
Right.
You know, and
How do I train for this? Like,
yeah,
yeah, how do I
exactly.
train to
Yeah,
defend, the world championship title? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
That was a strange feeling, and yeah. The rest is history, right?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. Uh No, I mean, and there's been a lot that's happened since then. I mean, like, you've been to Worlds quite a few times since then, been back in the Masters quite a few times since then. You broke my heart in Copenhagen. Uh,
broke my heart too.
it,
Yeah, Copenhagen. You want to talk about that a little bit, or you want to save that for
no,
later? That's
yeah,
kind of a
we
bitter
can,
pill, isn't it?
yeah, it, yeah. It's where your stuff learned about where my son's excited hop comes from because she
Yeah,
got to watch
it's
it
a
get hooked up.
hereditary
Oh,
tendency,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's funny.
excited Inman hop around the ring as you're going. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'll talk about Copenhagen a little bit, I guess, if we're gonna talk about tree comps and experiences. Man, um, so yeah, I haven't talked a lot about my wife so far this podcast, but if nobody knows her, your life is not as rich as it could be, for sure.
Correct.
Uh, my wife is a very unique person, and she will sit out there and train, and it's a team event, and she loves the tree climbing championships. So we're getting around to the Copenhagen thing, but I've got to talk about her because I should have started with this. But um, she has read every variation of the rule book cover to cover since 2000, maybe 5 edition.
Dang.
So she has forgotten more about this game than most people have learned.
Yeah.
Um, and her input, I will tell you, at comps is a huge deal.
Mhm.
Like, um, she she is she's a competitor, no question about it. She just
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
enter the rings. We've
Yeah.
joked before.
It's
Uh,
very apparent.
she
Yeah.
she she is a competitor, very competitive by nature. And no, I don't know how we make it work and we've been married for 20 years. And I don't know how two competitive people like that uh uh make it work,
Yeah.
but we're a team,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so when you see me compete, you're not seeing just me. It is not at
Mhm.
all. It is 100% a team sport.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
And Steph is
yeah, you've said it multiple times already. I've heard you talk this way for years, but it's a we. You use we. You don't
yeah,
use me. You don't use I. Very rarely. It's
yeah.
a lot of we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is 100%, and, I just had to say that, like, yeah, I cannot stress it enough,
Mhm.
and, she observes everything, um, and I'm the talker, maybe that's how we may have made it work, right? So and she's more introverted, um, she watches and observes everything, and she's very intuitive. Um, so she's an incredible competitor, is what that
Mhm.
we've joked around, like wondering how many points if she entered a comp, how many points she could accrue in a comp on the ground. Like how many points are there
Right.
and on the ground to be made, which is a fair amount
It is
between
actually.
throw line, well, not so much work climb,
Yeah. And
and then
rescue.
rescue,
Yep.
and I,
Set up for ascent.
yeah, set up for ascent and
Yep.
different stuff like
Yeah.
that. I assume the Belay speed climb is something you could learn pretty easily.
Right.
Um, and the actual tree climbing, physical the doing of the tree climbing is something that she hasn't been all that terribly interested in. But and she's been up a few times,
Mhm.
and it's fun, but certainly the technical knowledge of the game and the
Mhm.
way the scoring system work is something that she is pretty incredible at.
Yeah.
And just I just can't thank her enough for the loyalty over the years and the stick to itiveness and surviving the meltdowns and the ups and downs and all that. So anyway, I assume you'll listen to this, babe, but thank you. And I can't thank you enough. So going in all that to say, going into um Copenhagen. I'd better leave that subject behind because if I do it any further, we won't be able to finish this podcast. Anyone who knows me knows I'm
Yeah.
a pretty emotional guy, but
Yeah. Thank you, Seth, for allowing him to be down here and climb with me this afternoon and hop on the pods. Also, thank you, Kelsey. And
yes,
yeah.
thank you, Kelsey. Yeah. All right. So all that to say, you're coming out of COVID,
Right.
and with COVID, I didn't do a lot of training. I know you came up and before
Mhm.
Copenhagen,
Yep.
and we had a few climbs at Wheatland.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Got to meet Shawshank for the first time. We
yeah,
didn't climb though.
yeah,
Yeah. It was.
Shawshank.
Yeah.
What a great tree. Anyway, we did a few climbs there. I probably did 6 or 7 masters before Copenhagen, and then just went into Copenhagen with a good mental space, just kind of just rolled in there, and I remember feeling like completely not indifferent because I'm never indifferent about I'm too competitive for
Right.
that. I'll never be indifferent, but just comfortable with
Mhm.
the way the outcome would go. And rolled through there. I didn't make many mistakes. I guess I didn't make any mistakes in the prelims. which is kind of half the battle at international,
Oh, yeah.
not making those mistakes. And you don't necessarily have to blow it out of the park, but just don't, there's a lot going on with so many different interpretations of rules and things. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of traps to fall into.
Yeah.
But we were able to navigate those okay, and came third in the prelims, and then going into the finals was in a pretty good headspace. I wasn't too worried about any of the bell configurations because my techniques that I brought to the table that year were kind of dialed. I
Mhm.
did a lot of work that year in the trees. Um,
Which is another theme that I keep hearing, that I know I've hit on this as well, but for the listener as well, you just can't replace that.
well,
Like,
if you're doing a lot of work in the trees, I think that maybe the demand for training isn't so high.
yeah,
But if you're not, certainly the demand for training
yeah,
goes up,
yeah.
right? And you'll have to stay current somehow.
But well, I mean, and we'll jump back into Copenhagen, but like I have found for me personally, I need to be doing production tree work.
Yeah. It's
Right?
just mentally so healthy, isn't it? You're
It
doing what
is.
you love.
It is.
Yeah. It's tiring and it's good.
But also like in the competitive space, like
Mhm.
the edge piece of it. Like when I was doing more, well, not just like climbing training, but more like professional training and not producing as much. I felt that like edge
Yeah. Yeah.
be like very soft as opposed to doing more production, like more time in the harness, more time climbing.
Yeah.
That edge stays a lot sharper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're in the harness for long periods of time. On a big tree, you might get up at 9, in the tree at 9 and not get down until 2,
Hmm.
but so if you're doing that, multiple trees in a row
Yeah.
is what I was doing. I have all okay, so this is a big lead into Copenhagen. This is a big detail. There's one thing, if any of my guys listen to this podcast, which I assume maybe one or two of them will, they'll chuckle because that's like a big trademark of me. If there's a front yard or several, um, or if a tree on either side of a house,
Hmm.
if it can be traversed, I will traverse
Right.
it.
Right.
I will not come down and walk across and go up.
Yep.
It just destroys me to see that.
Oh, I
I
know.
hate it so
I
much.
know.
And I want to take those crossovers
Right.
because each tree, even if you're climbing the same species, each of them will move differently.
Hmm.
And you lose that in a hitting the ground and walking across and going up. You lose the way that, I mean, you'll lose some of it. But if you can transition and step out of one living organism into another, the way the tree's limbs move,
Hmm.
maybe it's moisture content, maybe it's where it's situated in the yard
Right.
or something, is different. It's
Oh,
always
yeah.
different, or especially if it's multi-species of climbs. I love that as well.
Hmm.
I love doing that in Masters Challenge setups, like a multi-species Masters Challenge setup. That's really cool. Um,
Plus, it's just fun. It's
well,
like
it's great fun. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
way more fun to
It's way
do
more
that than
fun.
just walk across.
Yeah, blow a
Yeah.
massive trevor, walk either
Right.
either floating across on a rope or going down out of a limb end
Hmm.
into onto
Oh,
another
yeah.
branch end
Yeah.
and going down, hooking up to another rope set and going up. But yeah, I think it's just better tree climbing.
Agreed.
It's just better tree climbing. So I've done that my whole career,
Hmm.
like my whole career, like
Yeah.
that technique that you see on the video
Hmm.
where you fair lead a carabiner through you fair lead the rope
Right.
through a carabiner on your harness is years old. I've
Right.
done it for years and years. Now, all this, of course, is got to be prefaced with my main mentor, like the Grandmaster, Bernd Strasser.
Yeah.
Okay, and for those of you who are not familiar with Bernd Strasser or Bettis, right? Growing up in the early 2000s in the tree world, that was the guy.
Hmm.
Right? He was the man. When I came onto the comp scene in '01, he was in the middle. He was just getting started on his rage.
Right.
He just went for it, and so I think 99 was his first win, and then it was off and gone. I think he did 2 3-peats in there with 1 year break in between, and then did another 3-peat, which is insane.
Yeah. It's crazy to like see that in the book of champions of just like
Yeah, yeah.
Bettis,
Yeah.
break, Bettis,
Eh,
break. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just great, and so I grew up, I discovered Tree Buzz in like 2006 time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So so I would get on Tree Buzz after the internationals and then look at what was going on. Like, and then these were the first pictures, and then I remember just waiting for the Cheryl Arborist
Mm-hmm.
supply to come out because they always had the coolest pictures
Right.
of the ITCC. And then I would sit there and just look at the pictures.
Right.
Like, it was a still shot that you couldn't zoom in on.
Right.
And I'd just sit there and look at that picture for like hours,
Yeah.
like it
This
was a
was your
video.
zone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was a video,
Yeah.
you know? There's still a picture that's just, I carry it with me when I climb. It was just Bettis in the 2006 in Minneapolis Masters of him in the middle of the climb. Just there's an aura in that picture. There's something that he communicates in that picture. I don't know how to describe it, but it comes off the page at you. It's an attitude or a drive, a purpose that comes off of that picture. He's on the vertical trunk, turned around, feet on the trunk. He's turned around looking at a jump and his hands out. And it's a poise that I just carry with me as like, this is the pinnacle of tree climbing.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen that picture in years, but
Right.
that picture I carried, like that picture just stayed with me for a long time. And so, and then you talk about aura, that guy had more aura around him than anybody else in that time frame. There was just so much legendary stuff that would float out about Bettis. He was just an interesting guy.
Right.
He had dreadlocks. He was
Yeah.
a vegan.
Right.
At least if he's not a vegan, then that's the legend,
Right.
And so there weren't so many vegans, that were, and,
Right.
that became popular after that. And at least that I knew,
Mm-hmm.
he
Oh
was
yeah.
like the only vegan that I'd ever heard of. And so uh so this was an interesting guy.
Oh yeah.
And so he had a very distinct style. And it was set a rope on the periphery of the tree or in between two bells, foot lock up, put in two carabiners,
Mm-hmm.
and then go hit some stations, and then either go out another leader and put in a friction saver, or you'd set another rope from the ground and then attach to that rope and go
Right.
do the climb
Right.
off of that, depending on how the tree was structured. And so you could watch the videos now. Jimmy Pritchard has, which whether you know it or not, for those listeners out there, the climbing world is indebted to Jimmy Pritchard for his video work in the early
Absolutely.
2000s. That we owe an incredible debt of gratitude to him for his video footage. So Jimmy has the videos from I think, there's another guy, Michael Cochran, is it from out in
Michael Cochran.
is it Cochran? I may be getting that name wrong.
I don't know.
I forget which YouTube channel that is. Michael something. He has some old
I'll look it up.
like 2005, 2004 footage. So, and then Jimmy kind of picked up where he left off. And so a huge debt of gratitude to him as well. So if you look at the videos of Bettis in like the 05 time frame,
Mm-hmm.
which I think may be the earliest one, there is some video footage of 04, but in 2005 is where I really remember this style kind of coming out. Was the big tulip poplar in Nashville. Michael
Michael
Oxman.
Oxman.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that channel, Michael
Yeah.
Oxman is a great. There's some epic footage on
Right.
that channel.
Yeah.
Um, and so between Jimmy and Michael, they really provided us with some priceless footage. Um, so in 2005, Bettis did in that big tulip poplar. He set the rope off to the side on that leader, foot locked up, put in his carabiners, and then hit two bells. Then went up the center leader where everybody else set their line and put in his. I think he may have forgotten his friction saber. Actually, it might have cost him the run that year because Kraus won that
Right.
year. And then put in his rope, set up a pony, hit bell 3, ponied over, and hit bell
Mhm.
4. Right. So he followed that in 2006 which is where that in Minneapolis, which is where that picture was. Set up another one, did the same thing,
Right.
set up, foot locked in, put in his carabiners,
Mhm.
hit the plumb bob, and this is all on video
Right, right.
from Jimmy. And then went over, set his line, finished the climb out, right?
Mhm.
And then so about that time, I started discovering this. Was 2006 time frame was the time that I started working at Bartlett, and so I was doing a lot more tree pruning at
Right.
that point, and so I started adopting this style at work. And I mean, like, a lot of the time I was
Mhm.
doing this,
Right.
because it really it just made sense to me, this style of pruning.
Right. To foot lock up, put 2 carabiners in, the
Yes.
same thing.
Yeah. So doing
Yep.
that kinda stuff.
Man, I just, think of Bartlett going nuts about tying into carabiners.
Well, I don't work at Bartlett
No, I
anymore,
know.
so
I
maybe
know. I
nobody
know.
there
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
that is,
I mean, I
that's
did a lot of that same
yeah,
stuff too when I
yeah,
worked at Bartlett.
yeah,
Just like no one knew about it because we were, out in the middle of nowhere.
out in the
So
middle
yeah,
of the bush,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
anyway, really started, really kinda started in on this, and then he did it in '07,
Hmm.
but he set 2 ropes in '07. '08, 2 ropes in '07, '08, and I got to watch '08 live.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Yeah.
2008 in St. Louis, which is awesome because this year we're going back
Right.
18 years later,
Hmm.
right? And I'm pretty stoked about that. But 2008 I got to watch live because that was my first international. He set the ropes out on he set the one rope out on the kind of the periphery in between the two bells,
Right.
his first two bells, and then set the other rope on a basal anchor,
Hmm.
and then was
Oh,
able to
that's right.
hit bell
Yeah.
1 and bell 2, and then come in and attach to bell or to the basal anchored
Right.
line, put a pulley in it, and
Hmm.
then go out to bell 3 directly.
Right.
So very similar to the single rope concepts we use today,
Yeah.
just he was setting the pre-feeds from the ground instead of the tree,
Right.
which is a lot of the way we practice this
Right.
stuff today. And and then he went up to the top of the tree, and then put in a friction saber and came down.
Hmm.
Um, so I got to watch that in 2008, and that made a huge impression on me because I'd kind of uh, like you get before the event, you get in your mind how you would do it,
Right.
and then I was out to lunch because I told my wife I'd set 2 ropes and do the tree kind of not exactly like Bettis did it, but he was the only guy to set 2 ropes and he didn't last. Well, it was Scott, Jared, and Mark that year
Hmm.
as well. So, um, those guys all set 1 rope in the center. Well, Jared set like 10 ropes in the center, but and then he
Was that
would.
when he was doing his like
Mhm.
spider web
Yeah,
with
the
the
triple threat
rig?
system,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
actually sick.
Yeah.
Not with the
Oh,
rig though. These were all on like he may have done some on the rig, but then he threw out some moving rope systems
okay.
too,
Okay.
right?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So it was a pretty cool system. It was very ahead of its time. Um and he was ridiculously fast with it.
Yeah.
And rope angles, let me tell you, were not a thing
Right.
because people climbed on some flat stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just the way I grew up, just
Oh.
flat rope angles just weren't,
Yeah.
it didn't even tip the scale.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So anyway, all
It's
that to
great.
say, I was steeped in this style of like when Bettis came along, it kind of like I was like, oh, okay, so I wasn't so far out in left field.
Right.
You know, he came along into he was the last climber of the day, set the two ropes and did his thing. And so that kind of gave me some courage, you know,
Mhm.
like, all right, I'll keep doing this, you
Right.
know. And so for the next, I don't know, 2008 to 2022,
Yeah.
I religiously practiced this system.
Oh, yeah.
And there were some comps where I did it. And in the Appalachian comp in
Mhm.
2019, I did it,
Yeah.
set two ropes. I did it a bunch of other times. I did it a couple times in Mac. Um, I did it a few other times in other comps, but anyway, so that's kind of like my background and the way that the style that I kind of adopted
Right.
from Bettis. And to me, two rope sets, foot lock up, put in the two carabiners, um, and then transfer to another rope was like the holy grail of
Right.
climbing. Like if
Yeah.
if somebody does this, that was like the pinnacle. And I
Oh, yeah.
understand that for other people that didn't grow up watching that and getting steeped in that climbing style, that's not the way it is. So I totally accept that. It just doesn't feel the same to you.
Right.
But that's the way it was for me.
Right. Well, even at Appalachian, when you did that, what still sticks out in my mind from that time, other than the fact that I'm just not good at spreadsheets and screwed up the scoring program. uh, and yeah, anyway. But when you did that masters and foot locked up and did the two carabiners, the amount of people that were just like, what is he doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? What is he doing? Like, how are you? This is crazy that people are, like, effectively seeing this for the first time, and I mean, like and it would be even more kinda crazy now because that was what, 2019?
It was 19,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it would be even more nuts now because
It's a technique that's
it's
20 years old now,
right,
you know,
right,
or more, you know.
older than a lot of people doing tree work
Yeah,
now.
older than a lot of competitors. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right,
So,
yeah,
um, anyhow, so that's kind of like my mentality coming into Copenhagen, right? So this is a person that's been steeped. I'm a person at this point that's been steeped in this for years,
right,
right? And we walked up to the tree on the Masters Sunday and I saw it. And it's not every tree. Like the trees, Bettis was really good at picking it out and he was
mhm,
really good at throw line. And
yeah,
so for me, I think a lot of guys just couldn't see it
right,
and they just didn't want to take the risk.
right,
So they just went for one rope set and just go. And um man, he could set two ropes and get off the ground in under 8 minutes.
yeah,
I mean, it was crazy,
wild. It's
you
so
know.
wild watching those videos.
Yeah, yeah, he was really
Yeah,
good. I mean, it is you can't overstate how good he was. Um, and so he, yeah, so this was kind of my approach to it. Well, I walked up, and after all this time, I was presented with my opportunity to do this technique, and all that practice traversing tree to tree with that kind of the sideways
mhm,
footlock
oh,
technique,
yeah,
and that's not something that I'd seen Bettis do. So this is, you know, I'd slowly tweaked the process a little bit
right,
and kind of put my own stamp on it a little bit, kind of, you know, in fooling with it. So when I saw the setup, it's very setup contingent, but when I saw that setup, I said, okay, this is my shot. Because there aren't many setups like that
right,
one. And the throw line shots weren't hard.
mhm,
They were relatively short trees, wide shots, smooth bark trees, so that you weren't going to get the bag stuck.
right,
They were in European beaches, and so. I knew I had some time on the ground to mess with.
Mhm.
So I think I remember telling you, I told a couple people this that I saw in sequester just working through it because I literally
Yeah.
was not concerned with winning. I just wanted to do
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Um and so uh yeah, that was the thing. I remember thinking that if I could do that and actually pull that climb off, I would be happy and contented with whatever the result was.
Mm.
I literally did not care
Yeah.
what the result was. I just wanted to do that and have it work. Well, it went just about to plan,
Just about.
just about. And it was funny because the hard part of that climb was the crux of that climb was coming off of the sideways footlock of floating across. That was all pretty simple. Well, coming off of that, there was a move where you had to install a carabiner or a pulley onto the prusik. Uh, well, back up a little bit. It is funny. I love the climbing community is great, and it was just so supportive. And this has turned into some of most fond memories in a tree, but it took a long time to get that way.
Right.
So I don't mind talking about it. And I get a lot of people that ask me about that climb, and I think they feel bad asking me about it
Mhm.
because of the cost, but I really don't mind being asked about Copenhagen. I really don't. It's turned into a fond memory.
That's good.
Yeah, it took a
That's good.
while, but it's turned into a great
Yeah.
memory. But anyway, one of the best parts about that whole climb was when on the video. The footlock, the initial footlock into the tree was a single strand of KM3 Max on a floating system, and
Mhm.
that really got some good response. And then, so the crowd started lighting up, and then got to the stake toss station and missed the first two underhanded, and then whipped the third one into the target overhanded, and that got them going,
Right.
and then so that was fun. And stepped over and hooked up to the footlock prusik and put the fair lead on and started taking some locks. And I remember I have very strange memories of that segment of the climb because it was like I remember the lift was there. There was a lift,
Yep.
I
There
think, up
was.
in the air
Yep.
there, and in my vision, I kind of forced myself to blur out
Mhm.
past the lift. So, do you ever, when you climb trees and when the wind's blowing real hard, out our way, we climb on a lot of water and the wind will blow
Yep.
real hard off the water and it makes the lines
Yep.
buzz.
Absolutely.
The wind was not blowing that day, but the crowd, I remember, so the lines are coming in from the side and your hands are on the rope
Right.
and I was foot locking and the crowd, I just remember this din and the lines were buzzing like
Yep.
it was blowing and
Mhm.
like the wind was
Oh, yeah.
blowing, and that's such an interesting memory. It's probably the only time I'll ever experience that, just having that many people that close to you yelling at once.
Oh, yeah. Well,
um
when you stepped off, you're facing the bulk of the I mean, because your back was to the crown of
the
the
tree.
the of the tree, so you're facing all of us, just, like, smooth as butter, footlocking across the other tree, and it's just like yeah, at that point, that's when my hopping really started to take off. Well, because, like, we had talked about you told me what you were planning on doing while you were sequestered, and, like, I go back over and I'm talking to my dad and Zach, and, they're like, "How's James doing?" I'm like, "If James does this, this is gonna be absolutely amazing. Like, people are going to lose their minds." Like, so then you're doing it, and I'm like, "He's doing it, he's doing it." Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
man, yeah, and just that memory, uh just the climbing community, the support there. I'll just carry that for the rest of my life. And just that din, that level of pitch that you can only achieve in Europe, because the American climbing community really has some work to do as far as there's their level of enthusiasm for the
Yeah.
event in general,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and we can get into that if there's time, but
I want to.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wanna move
yeah,
into that after we
yeah,
get into
yeah.
Copenhagen,
I can
but
wrap
yeah.
this
Yeah.
this segment up, but yeah. Anyway, y- the European climbing theater is just second to none. It's the best climbing events in the world. Anyway, so I remember going into that event, that final, just wanting to pay homage to my mentor and my role model, and so a lot of that was that, you
Right.
know, I really didn't care. I just wanted to pay homage to
Right.
Bettis and what he had done to the climbing community, and for me personally with my climbing journey at that point. And so that's what that was. And I just, that was an effort for me to say thank you. Uh, and to try to practice some techniques, and I wasn't sure he was there for the preliminary
Mhm.
round, and I wasn't sure if he was there. I thought he might be there in the
Right.
crowd, so there was a lot of pressure. The
Right.
pressure was coming from that,
Right.
you know,
Well, I
and
remember you
so
saying that too, that you just wanted to make Bettis proud.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to make him proud, and just give him a nod you know, for his contribution to
Mhm.
the for all that amazing work that he'd done, you know, and making that impression on me. Anyway, so it all went really well. And I was like, man, I got into that last anchor point, and I didn't really, that oddly was the crux. And then I I, uh, I rang the third bell. I hung my friction saver, and at that point, I do that all the time. Just I
Right.
could do it in my sleep. I hung the friction saver in a choking configuration with the retrieving line on, kind of to pry the loop off
Right.
the pulley. It may or may not have come off, who knows? And we never got that far, but once I'd set up the pony over, and then went out to the third bell, headed for home, and swung in for the pony over at 4 minutes remaining. And I remember I was clipping into the last, to my system at 3 minutes remaining. No, no, I didn't get that far. The system was coming down to me, and it was about 3 feet away from me. Got the system, and there was a loop of rope up there in the foliage, and I couldn't see it all that
Yeah.
terribly well, but it was just something I'd done in my sleep for so many times, and it took a back swing, and then I needed to flip it to get it over. Well, I flipped it one swing too soon,
Yeah.
and it took another back swing and wrapped and
Yeah.
half hitched, I think is what it did.
Yeah. It did.
And I remember, um, the first thought in my head was, because you can see it on the video, like my shoulders, I worked it, and my shoulders, I kind of stopped and took a beat. And I remember thinking, the first thought in my head was, man, that wasn't the way this was supposed to end.
Right.
And then and then the second thought in my head was, man, I got to stop doing this to Steph.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
like, man, I have really put her through the ringer this past few years. And then I am, you know, kind of, you're kind of working it out through your head. Like, what do I do? You know, I have some time left. So what do I do? Just kind of, but I'm also kind of stuck,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So I had the tail of my rope, and then I heard Scotty. I think it kind of penetrated a little bit into my consciousness, like Scotty telling me to throw my tail on and go get that last bell,
Right.
which was perfect. And it was perfect advice, and did it, threw the blank knot on. Ugh. And then ultimately ran out and snapped that branch off, and it just one kind of, it was the ultimate disaster arc at that point, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, you know, the emotion really kind of came, not so much because it was, you know, whatever. Who knows if that would have won or not? I'm fairly confident in the way the result would have come out, at least as far as the feedback that I've gotten
Right.
from the judges, because there was a score sheets filled out
Yeah.
up to that point, and I've gotten pretty positive feedback from those that filled
Oh,
them
yeah.
out. And
I
anyway,
I'd hope so. I'd
um,
have some words if
yeah, yeah, I've gotten some. They're very kind.
Yeah.
I got some really good feedback, and but, I think the emotion that came out there was just more or less like, "Man, I didn't do it."
Yeah.
I didn't quite pull it off. And, just, I was kind of relieved Bettis didn't end up being there, to tell you the truth. Just as well he didn't see that. But in the video, it's really funny because the video is stops after, before the disaster happens.
Right.
The camera died.
Oh,
It wasn't because I didn't want it to show. It was because
yeah.
the camera died, and
Dang.
it is what it is. So um I do have a phone video, but it's Steph just kind of whipped the phone out and started videoing, and it's on a fairly old iPhone, and it's not great
Right.
quality, right? So
Right.
it's just at that point we were in the back of the tree and the climb was happening on the other side. You can't really,
Yeah.
you'd have to know what was going on to
Right.
tell.
Right.
Um, anyhow, I did not sleep for a month and a half, about a month and a half through the night after that. Um, really took a long dive into sports psych again. Um, and just kind of recovering from uh uh disaster, and like the silver lining was that Bardo didn't come in. He pulled it off, and he won his first championship there.
Mhm.
And that was the silver lining there. It was just like, man, well, Bardo did it. And that was really good. I was super happy,
Oh,
as
yeah.
happy as I could be,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
in the moment. And there again, not that whether it would have won or not is we'll never know, but just not being able to do it,
Right.
not being
Right.
able to actually pull that climb off. But then since then, I really don't know if I would have stayed with it, if I would have, if it would have happened in what then seemed like the ultimate outcome. Um, I don't know if I'd have stayed with comps. I might have just folded it up because, like I said, going back to the groundwork we were talking about with Bettis, that to me was the holy grail.
Right.
And I knew I'd seen enough comps at that point, knowing that there are very few setups that in that way.
Right.
And I'd also the other portion of that was that I did have a feeling that was the last time I was ever gonna footlock into a Masters.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that was kind of, there's a song in The Star Is Born,
Yep.
that movie?
Mhm. Yep.
"Baby, it's time to let the old ways
Yeah.
die."
Yeah.
That song, I listened to that song a few times after that, and it was just like, man, it was a really tough time because I'm a sentimental guy,
Right.
and I don't end that kinda stuff easily.
Right.
So yeah, I went out to Kentucky after that, and had a really tough loss in Kentucky. Actually, it didn't make sense. The score sheets were, I don't know what happened there, but it was something strange. Anyway, I foot locked into that one, and then after that one, I hung it up.
Right.
I hung it up. I said, well, I need to update the system, and I brought single rope into the system, and really started putting my mind to it. Got the Rope Runner Pro because the rope wrench is good, but it's too slow on
Yeah.
and off the rope.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd
So I
argue
knew I need to.
it's also too slow, like, trying to make big moves too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I take that back. Actually, that was 22. I climbed with a rope wrench through the spring of 24, and the last time I used a rope wrench was the Masters Challenge at Mac in 2024,
Mhm.
and that was the
Yeah.
last time I used it. I
Yeah.
bought a Pro after that, and excuse me. Bought a Rope Runner Pro after that. Never got on well with the Runner Pro. It was too sensitive. The
Yeah.
margin of from the stop to the from dead stop to full on was
I loved
too narrow.
how you put that on aging arborist. How you talked about that with just that basically that forgiveness
Yeah,
that a hitch can afford you that mechanicals don't give you in the same way.
yeah,
Yeah.
mhm,
And the pro kind of being that same way of that sweet spot is pretty narrow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is all I have to say about Copenhagen
Yeah.
and that whole saga. After that, you know, I just you just have to ultimately, if you hang around this game or any game at a high level for a long enough period of time, you are going to have some experiences like that. And you are going to have to make up your mind if you're going to keep going and see what the future holds for you. Um, or if you're going to, good, bad, or ugly.
Right.
Because I went through a pretty deep spot after that,
Mhm.
going through some, uh, 2022 ended up being a winless year. Um, and then 2023, had one win, in Texas. And then, but just, just trying to work it out and trying to figure out what was going on and, integrating a new style into the system. And then, 2024, came in. Well, I went out to Australia and climbed with Bardo,
Yeah.
and, that was a big help, because we climbed for 4 days, did 11 masters that were really big. Literally got off the plane to Australia, went to the spider jackery tree, and ran 2 masters apiece in that thing. Then, at that point, the day was ended, and then we did, for the next 4 days, just hammered down
Yeah.
on masters challenges,
Yeah.
and I insisted on going first so I could, like, practice reading routes.
Right.
And he was very gracious and let me, stagger through all of his trees down there, which is a totally different style of climbing than we have, and once you've climbed down there, you can really understand how the system of pre-feeds came about.
Gotcha.
um, and also mechanicals, because what I noticed with the hitches down there, there's like a gum on those
Gum trees.
gum
Yeah.
trees. Yeah, there's
Yeah. Right.
a gummy substance, right? And it really fooled with my hitches. It was
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
So I got home and I threw both the hitch cords away that I took down there,
Mm.
and because they were super sticky.
Yeah.
It was like not quite as bad as pine sap, but
Gotcha.
it was in the
So it's like
spring.
that annoying level of like either be fully toasted or not at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
know it. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it was kinda the long swings wouldn't work right,
Yeah.
and then the friction that it built up would snub you off and all that. So this would have been in March, so it would have been in their fall time. So, but the bark wasn't too fragile, and so
Mhm.
we really went hard at it, and, it was great. That was really good. Came back a month later, was the Mac, and then, you know, um did a lot of training that year and then went to Savannah, and Savannah worked out well. I was happy with Savannah. Um, it was simple, that
Yeah.
Masters run was simple. It was a tough prelim run because everybody was so tight. The trees were little and the
Right.
events were
Right.
relatively
Right.
simple, except for the work climb. That work climb was epic.
That was super
But
fun.
that's Peter Vergote.
Yeah.
He is
Oh
the
yeah.
master at setting up the work
Yeah.
climb. So anyway, that's kind of, yeah, like I said, that's kind of all I have to say about Copenhagen.
Right. Well, so let's fast forward to now. So we're on the heels of North American. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Yeah.
our North American male champion yet again. It was a beautiful climb. Um, it's still like I was saying this in the Masters, like it still just is. I'm getting used to seeing you on stationary row. Like, for as long as I've known you, it's like, okay, well, I know I'm gonna do stationary rope, and I know James is gonna do moving rope. I know he's gonna like foot lock, and that's in the part of me finds it to be like fascinating and so cool, and part of me also grieves it because it's like I love watching you climb that way.
Meh.
Like
Oh, thank you.
it
Yeah.
is absolutely beautiful to me. And it might, I mean, however anyone else feels about it or whatever the heck the score sheets say, like while I don't climb that way, I have such a great deal of appreciation for all of you who can climb that way and make it look that great. Like even the Savannah Masters was you did it differently and it was just like, yeah, heck yeah, that's tree climbing right there.
It's
Like
just simple and
it's just
kind of
like
kind of basic.
right. I wouldn't call it basic. It's just but it's not like it's more movement, it's more fluid, it's more like it was just tree climbing. It was more tree climbing, less rope climbing.
Less rope climbing.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I understand how like that kind of sounds hypocritical from the guy who primarily has climbed stationary rope for I mean the better part of my competitive career, but yeah, anyway, it's just weird. Like, it's cool,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
weird to
Oh,
me. Yeah, like,
I
what we
get
were
it.
just doing is
It's
just
been
I
weird.
can't believe we're just swapping ropes. Like, I'm like, this is not the experience of, like, climbing with James that, like, I'm used to of, like, we're just swapping ropes and it's all the same, and it's like, "Okay."
I'm just chirping the single rope
Right.
guys, trash talking
Right.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For
No.
years, yeah. That's a
Yeah.
lot of gear for a single rope climber.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's,
Yeah. So,
yeah. Well,
I mean,
where do
well,
you wanna go from
welcome to
here?
the
You
dark
wanna
side.
Yeah, I know, right? You wanna talk about a little bit about that
Yeah.
transition or
Well, I think, I mean, if you want to, but I think where I was going was just like inside North American, and kind of like talking through a bit of that, and also kind of like where your head's at as we now ramp up to 50th anniversary of ITCC, going
Yeah.
back to St. Louis. So
Yeah, so you're talking about, kind of, the follow-up from this particular North American,
well,
like
not
the
some. I'm not.
actual
I mean, like, if you want to go there, that's fine. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to like like Fletcher said when I was talking to him the other day. He's like, brother, that horse, that's dead. It's liquefied now.
Yeah.
We're just scooping this stuff up. Like, so if you want to, that's fine.
I'll
But
share a
that's yeah,
couple of thoughts
yeah,
on it. I think you guys covered that one pretty well, in a very respectful way. You and Evan's last or not you and Evan's recap podcast.
yeah. Thank you.
Um I agree with most everything you said. Uh I would say so. I thought it was fair. I thought y'all's recap was fair. Um so yeah, so just to touch, yeah, I'll just touch a little bit about North American this past one, because that will bring us to a point that I would like to make.
Yeah,
Couple points just as far as, and this is probably a better time, as good a time as any. Um, and this is probably more toward the climbing, the comp in general, where I see kind of the state of the tree climbing comps in general. Couple of thoughts. We got to North American and I've thought a lot about this over the past 2 weeks or so. Um, it I think this would be a word of encouragement to people that will run events. So be prospective head judges.
mm,
Create an environment in which the climbers are excited to be in.
yeah.
And the volunteers that are serving under you. That's a huge part of leadership
Hmm.
because being a head judge is a very stressful thing. I've done it a few times in the work climb and a few times in rescue, one or two times in masters.
Hmm.
It's a stressful thing. There's a lot to keep track of. You've got to keep track of volunteers, techs, competitors, you've got to make some very hard calls.
Right. Keep it consistent.
You have to
Yeah.
be consistent
Yeah.
whilst all the time creating an environment in which people want to be in.
Right.
And um, I think maybe that was lost or lost sight of,
Right.
maybe in an effort to um, keep to the rules. And the rules are necessary for
Mhm.
obvious reasons,
Oh, yeah.
right? This is a
Yep.
game that's being played by people from multiple countries, and there has to be a rule
Oh,
book
yeah.
because there were lots of languages. It's an international sport,
Right.
right? And so there has to be a compass, and
Right.
that's what the rule book is. Um, so yeah, and if you want to, obviously there was an effort to hold very closely to the rules.
Mhm.
Fair enough. There is a way to do that in which um maybe is less intense
Mm.
than it was at international.
Yeah.
I think that may be kind of a soft way to say it,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
but
think that's a
but I
fair way to
think
say it.
I think
Yeah.
I think it just created an environment
Yeah.
to where people I think people were not super thrilled about getting into that work climb ring, which
Mhm.
is a shame because that work climb was set up. That work climb tree and the work climb um set was just awesome.
Oh,
It was
so
one of the
cool.
best sets that I've ever
Yeah.
seen, at least for years and years.
Yeah.
Um, the work climb set in 2008 at International stands out, as a really good one, but that one at North American was great. I
Yeah.
mean, the set in general was a crazy
Yeah.
good set. The venue was great.
Yeah.
Huge thank you to Davey for opening your it's a remarkable campus. It's a pristine ground, and it was a privilege to be there and to be there and help take care of um, that facility and treat
Mhm.
it with respect
Yeah.
that it deserved.
Yeah.
And a huge thank you to Davey for letting us be there, and I really hope that we made it to where they don't regret it too badly.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Same.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so that was huge. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. But to those prospective head judges who would like to judge and be a head judge in the Masters, um, just really, it's a big job. It's a big
Mhm.
job. It needs to be held by an experienced person. Um, and and um experienced or not, I have been in masters challenges or have been in work climbs and aerial rescues that were head judged by experienced people that were not pleasant.
Correct.
It
Yeah.
wasn't pleasant. So experience or not, there must be a an environment created in which people are comfortable and are excited. Now, a couple of ways to do that I have found. One is if there are technical things like hard connecting in the rescue or stuff like that,
Mhm.
or um, slack tending
Right.
calls in the work climb. Just make it known. Just make it
Right.
known, and I think there was an effort in the work climb. The questions in the rescue were a bit more fuzzy, and
Mhm.
I've noticed that in the rescue where the questions like, "Hey, how do you guys feel about this?" And well, there's a reluctance to answer the question.
Right.
Um, I've been in several rescues around the world, not just in the United States, but around the world in which that was the case, in which there's like a concerted effort to lay a trap,
Right.
a concerted effort for entrapment of the competitor.
Right.
I don't really see the point in that. In which when I'm the head judge of a rescue, I want to set up a rescue and I want to bring out the best in the competitor. I'm not going to spoon feed you the plot.
Right.
But if there is some sort of technical issue with the rescue, like a bridge that needs to be supplied to the harness or a device that needs to be manipulated
Mhm.
or whatever. The first experience I had with that was in Milwaukee where the climber was on a Petzl ID
Mm.
that has the button,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yep.
all they said was, "You need to know the user's instructions for this device," and that was all. And so what happened? Every single competitor left that gear check with one thing in their head: get a hold of the Petzl instructions and read about the Petzl ID.
Right.
What is the point of that? Have you ever used a Petzl ID in a tree?
No.
It's like
No.
there's just no point in that. And it's like, yes, understanding our equipment's user instructions is true. But you could have easily just said, "Hey, he's on a Petzl ID. There's 2 hands required, 1 hand on the rope, 1 hand
Right.
on the device, blah, blah, blah." You could have easily said that. It wouldn't have taken away from the rescue at
Right.
all.
Yeah. Because
And
people still have to do it.
people
I mean, that's
still have to do it.
at the end of the day, it's like those types of technical questions don't necessarily mean that now everybody is going to be able to unlock how to do all this stuff. It's like
Yeah,
how many tree people have used an ID period, let alone in a tree?
exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So there's going to be a foreign component there where it's like, well, if you try to rush it, it's going to look like crap. It's the same thing. If you do it smoothly and you
yeah,
do it well, then you'll get rewarded properly. If
yeah.
you go hasty and, all jerky, you're not going to get a bunch of points.
The
So,
the object and I think the objective of having that is to create an obstacle. You're not giving that objective up as the head judge of the event who sets it up. You're not
yeah.
compromising the obstacle.
Right.
So you can still have that. In the Euros a few years back, there was a setup in which half the field DQ'd, and it became pretty apparent that
Oh, I remember hearing about
that
this.
that
Yeah.
was that was bringing the judging corps, at least a few individuals, a great deal of satisfaction, right? And so, um, you know, it it just it just it just went a little too far, I
Yeah.
think. And it basically what it does, I remember. So I'll tie this back into the overall feeling at my overall feeling coming out of North American. It's kind of become increasingly that way by degrees over the recent years,
Yeah.
maybe. And then North American, um, you just get to where you come away from it like, oh man, there isn't really any learning that goes on. Of course, you learn the lessons,
Right.
but it's not really practical lessons.
Right.
You're just gonna like. It turns out that after North American, we find out that hard connects were perfectly fine,
Mm.
and so fair enough. Just say it.
Right.
Just say it. And what's the point of having the questions? It's the first hard connect I didn't do. I didn't do a hard
Yeah.
connect because I just didn't want to. I just wanted to be sure.
Right.
And like I said at the walkthrough, hard connects kind of came back into vogue like 20 years ago.
Right.
Before then, they were kind of nebulous and controversial.
Mhm.
But anyway, those kind of things come and go. But you could answer so many questions and just set up the competitors to do so much better. Um, if I think there could be, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Oh,
I
no,
think
I
I've
I
said
mean, it
enough
makes
about
sense to
that.
me, yeah.
Yeah.
It's allowing space
Good
for
climbing.
good climbing
Yeah.
and, like, creativity to
Yeah.
be displayed instead of, well, sanitizing a bit of the event
Yeah.
of, like, it turns it into kind of this, like, sterile thing where everyone does the same kinda stuff, and it's like, well, I mean, I know you don't wanna see the same thing over and over and over again. I certainly don't wanna see this I don't wanna do the same thing as everybody else. Like, I enjoy the process of trying to figure out how to be creative inside this. Like,
Yeah.
okay, these are the parameters we have to play inside of. Yeah, like, it's cool to try to figure out how to do something a little bit different. Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. And I think all that to say, um, well, yeah, I remember where I was going with that. Um, by the end of the first day at North American, I remember thinking that if this is the way it's gonna continue to be, then this event will go away
Mhm.
because it's just not
100%.
gonna be that fun anymore,
Yeah.
you know? And so, like, I know that sounds kinda pouty,
Yeah.
but in the moment, that was definitely the feeling. Like, it
Right.
was a pretty heavy it was heavy, man.
Yeah.
It was heavy.
Yeah.
And so I remember telling my wife, about at the end of the first day, it's a very unique environment mentally. We just have to stay above it, and it's like running through a minefield. We just have to be careful not to
Right.
step in the mines,
Right. Right.
and not to get blown up, and just
Yeah.
keep on it and
Yeah.
and just climb on Sunday. So that's kind of I don't know if that's helpful to say it, and hopefully it is. I hope it's a helpful takeaway, for those that would like to be head judges. Those that are, I think it's a position that cannot be taken lightly, and that there's a tremendous amount of experience that should be accrued before that position's had. And obviously, we're limited to the amount of volunteers, but who knows? We'll see what we can do in the future. And the other thought I had after the past couple comps was, there seems to be kind of people are running on a short fuse.
Mm.
And I'm not talking about one particular event
Right.
at all. This is several events that I've seen from several comps recently in which people, I don't know exactly why that is. Maybe it's because we are there's an unprecedented amount of effort being put into
Yeah.
these comps. And, if you put a lot of work into it, you have to be comfortable with things not going well.
Right.
And that's just the price you pay.
Yeah.
The more effort you put into it, the more devastating something disastrous will be.
1,000%. Yeah.
And that's something, if you make the decision to train hard for these events, that there's the risk of that happening.
Mhm.
And it's never fun. And it's so I think maybe tempers run a little high, but and I've noticed it recently, in a few different competitions. I just wanted to kind of like appeal to the comp community at large. It's a public event, it's a professional event, and please maintain a level of professionalism and decency, because that's another thing that will make these events go away
Oh, yeah.
if we can't control that.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, maybe some social media. I think on social, this one particular exchange that I have in mind is certainly started on social media, and just kind of spilled over. But passions run high, they
Mhm.
run hot and heavy, and we just if there's yelling to be done, maybe do it in a private setting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not in the
Oh, yeah.
public park. Not in the public park in front of a bunch of people.
Also good leadership quality. Yeah.
Yeah,
Praise in
yeah,
public,
yeah,
criticize in private. Like,
yeah,
this is no different. Like, yeah.
yeah,
Don't let the tempers fly off the handle where it just turns into this dramatic spectacle.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And certainly there's a opportunity there needs to be opportunity to release passion and anger, if the case may be. But just remember, it's a public event, and
Yeah.
it's a professional event. And Um, I think that's if that trend continues, that'll be a huge detriment to the climbing event at large.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, what was your before I started talking about my general takeaway from North American? I think we can leave that behind at
Yeah.
this
No,
point. I think we
yeah.
can.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something else. My mentality,
Well,
where
just
my
like,
head is
yeah.
coming out going into international.
Correct. Yeah.
So, as far as specifically, like what my training routine
Well,
is,
not
or
so much
like
that of just like how, I mean, you've been doing this a long time,
Yeah.
right? So, like, to a certain extent, like, what maybe looks different now versus how it did, even 10 years ago, but then also, like, what is it that helps keep that fire burning so
Oh,
hot?
yeah.
Because you don't,
Well,
again, like kind of what we were talking about a while ago is we I mean, you certainly have. I I have, the longer I've seen in this, the folks that come in and then don't stick it out.
mm,
So it is then all the more impressive when people do stick it, whether that's orneriness,
yeah.
but it can't be without some level of passion. So that's
Yeah.
kind of I guess more of what I'm asking.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'll approach it. Let's see here. Ha! That's a big question. That's a
Yeah.
great question. I'll approach it from the angle maybe of the why,
Yeah. There we
you
go.
know,
There we go. I'm a big Y guy.
the big why guy. All right. Um, that is a question that I talked a little bit about that on with the aging arborist. I'm gonna call it the raging arborist because I don't like the fact that I was on the aging arborist.
Yeah.
No, no, no. The
Yeah.
aging arborist is a great podcast,
Yeah.
and I love Paul and Brick. They're awesome. Thank you guys for having me on that. Talked a little bit about on that podcast. Of the why. You
Right.
know, we covered that a little bit. Um, I am a fiercely competitive person. You saw a little bit of that.
Mhm.
You've seen that
Oh, yeah.
for
Yeah.
decades
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
but or more than
Yeah.
one decade. But you saw some of that this afternoon when
Oh,
we
yeah.
were
Yeah.
before the pod. We were running work climbs in a park, get the blood flowing a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the way I am with anything I do.
Mhm.
You know, I don't care what it is. If you want to throw ping pong balls into a beer cup, that's
Yeah.
fine. It's game on. Let's do it.
Heck
Um,
yeah. Heck yeah.
and you know, it picked the silliest things.
Right.
I am just name the game and I'm there.
Right.
You know, so I've always been that way. Um, and so winning, you know, obviously the desire to win comes with that.
Right.
Um, as so there's no question that um you know we have these comps, and the point of the comps, especially at the international level, is to have a world champion.
Mhm.
And there is a huge amount of desire on the part of a lot of people to have to be that,
Right.
you know. And so there, voila, you have a world competition,
Right.
you know, and that's what it takes. That's all it takes to have a world
Yeah.
competition, is to have more than one person around the world with the same desire
Right.
to accomplish this goal, and you have one,
Right.
you know. Um, you know, I think maybe at the chapter levels, it's more of an outreach level, more of a educational event, blah blah blah. But certainly at the world level, at the final, at the end of the road, this is a full on world championship,
Yeah.
and that we cannot lose sight of that.
Yeah.
As a community at large. At least that's my opinion. So certainly there's that, but then to develop the why a little further, and kind of your question of what keeps the passion going. You cannot imagine through that portion of time, kind of in building and discovering the from the time period of '04 to maybe 2014 time period, that 10-year gap, um, was kind of my discovery, and
Mhm.
and kind of like where I'm really dialing in the game.
Mhm.
So there was like it was easy to compete those years,
Right.
and I was also hitting every other year. That's another thing you have to remember. I
Right.
wasn't competing every other year or every year. So I was hitting every other year. And then the, you know, hitting those kind of low spots in that 17 range and then that 22 range. COVID, that
Right.
was another big spot where it
Yeah.
was just like, man, it was a good hiatus period because for me, I was just able to focus on my business because work went nuts,
Right.
and
Right.
COVID and who knew, but it went crazy.
It was great.
So we weren't, we just had a chance to kind of pull back and focus on other stuff and kind of realize what life without comps was going to be like. And
Mhm.
it kind of sucked.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so we kind of, I think everybody kind of realized that this is kind of cool. We should keep doing them. Um, but as time has gone on, certainly I've turned 40 a few months ago, and I don't know how many years I have out ahead of me, and nobody does, but certainly as you get on past the 20-year mark into your comp career, and this will be, I'm in my 22nd year, I
Mhm.
guess, of active competing. And then from 2001, it's 25 years training for the thing.
Right.
And, you can't imagine the times, the low points, and the times I've fallen in and out of love with it, and wanted to stop and been tempted to stop. Um, and I think at this point, um, I've never been more excited for it. I really haven't. And, with an event like the Ascent event, um, you've never met a person that hated it more than me, but I've just
Amen.
come to the point
That's
where I have embraced it. I mean, you
yeah.
just decide to embrace it, and you just learn to get good. You learn to make
Right.
points, and there's no point in complaining about it,
Yeah, it's
and
yeah.
it is what it is. And then maybe there'll be a time to actually get it as a race to the top,
Yeah.
you know, and God hasten the day when that occurs. But until then, it's not. We have to fool around with this stuff that is completely impractical to
Right.
tree work. Um, so you just adapt and you
Right.
go. But I've continued to get faster at it, and I suppose at that point, until that changes, I might as well keep on running. And
Right.
then the other thing is too, you only get one shot.
Mhm.
You only get one shot in life, so you might as well make the most of it. And I think maybe that, to me, that's kind of that, and coupled with this kind of final reason, the tree climbing championships are my vehicle to competition. If it wasn't for that, I would compete in something.
Right. Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
and they have a world waterfowl carving competition.
Yeah.
I love carving waterfowl. I don't do it because of the time it takes,
Right.
but I did it when I was a teenager and I still love it. I
Yeah.
fully intend to do it when my body is too broken to to
Right.
to climb trees. But they have a comp on everything,
Oh, yeah.
and so the tree climbing championships are my vehicle to competition. And
Right.
so I love I love being in a pressurized environment.
Mhm.
I love waking up on game morning and feeling that buzz. Like,
Oh, yeah.
time moves in a different dimension. Everything slows down
Yeah.
and becomes distilled on a comp day.
Yeah.
And to me, that is just, oh, it's an unsatisfiable appetite.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's
And
powerful drug.
the
Yeah.
whole the whole process of like trying to piece together 5 runs that are good enough, lower your performance volatility, control your mind throughout the
Mhm.
periods of waiting.
Yeah.
That whole, like, the young climbers out there, there is a massive percentage of competition that occurs between the events.
Yeah.
A huge
I remember you
percentage of
saying
this.
that before.
Oh
Went to
yeah.
compete in Columbus. That was it's a climbing competition, but it's also a eating and drinking competition. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
calm your mind, stay
Yes.
hydrated, stay nourished. Like,
Yeah.
that's huge. That was huge for me, man. I mean,
It's
that's carried,
huge.
you know,
Yeah.
ever since.
Because good or bad, you've got to leave that event behind you. If you score 2 9s with full time points in a throw line event, have your moment, party it up, put it behind you, and focus on the next
Correct.
event.
Correct.
And there is nothing like doing really well in the throw line event.
Oh,
Like you can crush every other event, but nothing equals crushing the throw line event.
oh, amen.
And so the highs and the lows are at the farthest extremes in that event. And I mean, I've come to fall in love with the throw line event. So all that to say, that last part of the why is it is an environment in which you work so hard for months and months and you build up your potential of performance to a certain level. Then on one day or 2 days, as the case may be, you have the opportunity to get as close as you can performance wise to your potential,
Right.
regardless of what that may be. That may be middle of the pack.
Mhm.
That may be 20 points ahead of second.
Right.
That may be bottom of the pack. But for each competitor, you enter it and you have the opportunity to get as close as you can to your potential.
Mhm.
And that is where winning and losing is separated and parsed out.
Yeah.
That margin of what your potential is to where your performance ended up. That is what training is for.
Mhm.
It elevates your potential, but it also reduces the amount of mistakes that are catastrophic enough to put you out of, say, the cut line,
Right.
the Masters Challenge line. And I think that opportunity, the obviously perfection is something that we are either moving toward or we are moving away from at
Mhm.
any given point.
Right.
We are never still.
Yep.
We are never neutral. We are either moving toward it or we are moving away from it. We will never achieve it. So that is the status. That is our relationship as competitors with perfection.
Mhm.
So
That's well said.
just that opportunity to get as close as you can to
Yeah.
perfect. And I think that is one of the big whys. It's like art.
Yeah.
So, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, and it's a lot of work. The training with your Vertec frozen shut, where you realize when you're trying to transition from rope to rope that your vertex frozen and you have to descend to heat the thing up to open it up,
Yeah.
and it's coated with ice or
Oh,
your
yeah.
ropes are so coated with
Yeah.
ice that the thing
Yeah.
won't function right. All that stuff, finishing up masters challenges in the dark, which okay, my official stance on that is don't do it, but man, is it sick.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool.
Climbing in the full moon.
Yeah.
Just if you're gonna go try that, be very careful because it's dangerous, obviously, climbing with limited vision. There are
But
some
man,
hacks to it.
do you learn feel?
Yeah, you learn a lot. Yeah, you learn a lot. But
Again, yeah, caution.
yeah,
Yeah.
caution, big caution. Yeah, you can get hurt really easy doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that
No, I think
answers
yeah.
like what keeps the fire burning.
Yeah.
As far as the train routine, go hard, go fast, go awesome,
Yeah.
go often.
Yeah.
As far as the specific training goes, I don't know that I'll go into it too terrible much at the risk of sounding like hoarding my
Right.
information. But obviously, I think for obvious reasons, maybe you work hard at building techniques and
Oh, yeah.
different training techniques and it may not, at the risk of sounding selfish with information, maybe I won't go into that too terribly
Oh,
depth,
yeah, and
training routines
that's not what I
and
was looking
stuff.
for, really. That's,
Uh,
because what works for you isn't
yeah,
necessarily gonna work
exactly.
for
Yeah,
me or vice
yeah,
versa or anyone else. Like,
yeah. I
it
mean, what
was
we were doing this afternoon, I would say probably if you're gonna do this, go find a training partner that is on a level that you would like to be at and go train with them because that's huge. Like practicing for this event is it's reached a level that if you don't, it will be hard to well, it's certainly going to be hard to win against somebody who does train.
great. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean that's just common sense, but I think maybe the event has shifted a little bit in that regard
Mhm.
with the amount of people that are putting
Oh,
time
yeah.
into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Um,
wild. It's
yeah,
wild now how many people
yeah.
are
Well, I think it's good
grinding
because
hard.
we're it would be awesome if we could see this be a professional sport one
Mhm.
day. That's
Agreed.
a huge goal of mine. I don't know that I will ever see it, but it would be a huge goal of mine. There's a lot that would need to happen in order to make that happen.
Mhm.
But certainly we've reached an inflection point on the climbing community at large regarding the amount of work that's being put in by the competitors to prepare for it. And maybe the judging and volunteering core maybe being in kind of a little bit of a limbo.
Mhm.
Um, where and I think there's some effort being made to
Yeah.
improve some of that.
Yeah, yeah.
To where the we also may be in a weird little generational gap too, in which if there's, you know,
I think we very much are. Yeah.
and I think when my generation moves out of the climbing community or the actual active competition,
Mhm.
that maybe we can get some of that corrected, if not
Yeah.
before, but certainly we have some incredible volunteers out there, and I
Mhm.
just want to really encourage them to keep doing what they're doing and really put your best foot forward because you have a lot of competitors out there that are putting their best foot forward and really trying to
Yeah.
learn this game
Mhm.
and get good at it,
Yeah.
and get good at it. So I know
Right.
when I volunteer, and volunteer in comps and try to judge, I approach it just the way I do competing.
Mhm.
And I just want to encourage every volunteer that competes and volunteers, put your best foot forward, really, really try hard. And because certainly we're entering an era at which the amount of training that people are giving to it to be able to get good is unprecedented.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting.
It is.
It's really exciting.
It is.
And yeah, anyway, we can probably move on from that
Yeah.
area of that topic of the discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also, we should probably land the plane so that way you can go ahead and get home.
Yeah, how long have we been going?
Uh, yeah.
2.5, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Man, the time goes
Yeah.
by quickly when you're talking about stuff you're into.
You're right.
Um,
Yeah.
is there any topics that you wanted to hit, like talking about the transition of single to double or double to single or
Yeah. Actually, I do think that would be interesting because
try to
they're
hit that as briefly as I can, maybe?
well, yeah, but also I don't think, yeah, I'm curious how many people even fully would even recognize that, you know, that you've made that transition. I mean, North American maybe was the biggest platform of where I saw a bunch of people be like, "Holy crap, James is on stationary rope." And you're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Singlenary. That's a
yeah,
singlenary rope system.
yeah,
That's a good word.
yeah."
Nah. Okay, so if you back up to 2013, when single rope kind of hit the fan, or stationary rope, if you want to split hairs, um, there's always that guy in the room that says both systems are a single rope, isn't
Right.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason Deal, we're talking to you. No, the stationary rope system. So for me, when I saw that come on, I guess the first time I saw that was at a TCIA expo where Derek had the wooden wrench. Derek
Mhm.
and Kevin were sitting there, and Kevin was like selling these art projects that he was carving with a
Right.
Dremel tool,
Right.
and really, really wild looking stuff. And and it's really funny because I am not a rapid adopter of new stuff. So, um, uh, I was like, I was pretty skeptical, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, man, I don't know, that's kinda wild." Yeah,
Right.
that's really weird. Because this is like, I'm still heavily involved in trying to perfect this
Right.
system of climbing from Strasser,
Right, right, right.
from Bettis, and I was just like, "Man, this is, like, kind of weird." Sliding up and down, like, you lose everything. You lose
Yeah.
mechanical advantage, you lose all the things,
Mhm.
you know? And, uh you lose the ability to actually just jump from like a limb to an angled stem and pull yourself up and
Right.
then
Oh,
jump
yeah.
to
Oh,
another
yeah.
limb,
Yeah.
So, just these nuts and bolts climbing styles are just gone.
Yeah.
So I don't really remember. Derek would remember what year that was at Expo. But anyway, by 2013, and I talked to Hattie about it, and the new rope wrench
Mhm.
this would have been after Ontario's ITCC, which I was not at. Um, and I don't know. I've never seen video from that climb, so I really don't know if anyone was climbing SRT in those Masters challenges.
Mm.
So, so you fast forward. Well, then 2013 May, I would have won a rope wrench at the Pendle comp. So I won a rope wrench and took it home and talked to Hattie about it. And he said, "Look, the thing you need to do is just climb on it solid for a month." And I did that
Yeah.
and was full immersion into it, and really landed on a system that was my my um my double rope system was a 4 and 2 VT
Mhm.
with 10 millimeter cord, 10 millimeter
Yeah.
ocean on tachyon.
Mhm.
The uh the stationary rope system under the rope wrench was like a poison ivy,
Okay.
like by
Yeah,
Yale,
yeah. Yeah.
the old Yale
Mhm.
poison ivies with a 4 and 2 XT.
Okay.
So the
Yeah.
cross
Yeah.
above the
Yeah.
pulley on 8 mil cord.
Gotcha.
So that kind of balanced the friction out
Yep.
of the
Yep.
wrench
Yep.
and balanced the friction out and actually ended up pretty similar, right? So yeah, they ended up really similar. And I just it was so intuitive. Once you got the idea of instead of body thrusting up a stem, you set in the harness and then climb the rope back up the
Mhm.
stem. But like stationary rope, the ability to throw the rope tail through a fork and then go down and hit some work over here in a quadrant of the tree and then get over to that rope tail hanging there and then undo the rope wrench off the rope and then pull that in just
Right.
like we do
Oh, yeah.
now with our
Oh, yeah.
pre-feeds.
Yeah.
That came so intuitively. It was
Mhm.
crazy, and I immediately started doing that kind of work, taking redirects that you would never take with a moving rope,
Oh,
just
yeah.
so hard and so far out on these limbs and stuff. And then the ones you couldn't climb through, you just threw the tail through and then
Right.
got down and
Yeah.
and pulled the rope through. And it never bothered me to take the hitch and the rope wrench off the rope at
Right.
work. It just didn't take that long. At a comp, of course, time is of the essence, so
Right.
you didn't do it so much. And then there was like 5 pieces of loose gear,
Oh, yeah.
so the risk of DQ was huge. Um, and so anyway, so I did that through 2013. Um, Kind of got back on the moving rope system through like double crotching.
Mhm.
I kind of realized that this was actually kind of awesome and I loved it. And
Right.
so I went back to it.
Right.
And then through that 2014, 15, I kept climbing like through those times. I mean, I was climbing maybe 40-60 mix of single double, like 40% single,
Yeah.
60% double, all through that time period on the wrench. And a lot of it just boiled down to what I felt like on any given day. It
Right.
wasn't really
Yeah.
any
Yeah,
uh
good tree climbing.
yeah,
Just
it was
choosing
just
what
what
made.
I felt
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was no logical thing. It was just I feel like doing this today,
Right.
so I'm going to do it. And then through as single rope kind of gained popularity, I kind of took a stance maybe opposed to it because there were some fundamentals that were being lost
Mhm.
and like fundamental movements,
Oh, yeah.
like movement patterns and different things in the tree, the footlock,
Mhm.
different things were I just wasn't ready to see them leave, you
Right.
know. And so I kind of took a stance more toward extreme double rope.
Mhm.
And then, but even still, I was probably still like, well, for a while there, I went like full on, like zero single rope and full on moving rope. And then by the end of 2022, I transitioned, made the decision to transition kind of, well, to integrate the single rope into my style. So you'd set a access line,
Mhm.
put on the single rope, which would have been the rope wrench, pull the moving rope up into the top of the
Right.
tree, and then do your stuff on the way up. You know, there's that style where you
Yeah.
bring it in, and then once you got to the top, you just marry in that
Yeah.
double rope
Yeah.
and come down. So all through 2020 3, 24, and then 20 at the end of 24, I guess the Vertec came
Mhm.
out, didn't it?
Yep. Yep.
So then all through 25, you know, climbed on that Vertec, did an awful lot of climbing with it. Um, and then, but still, you know, left it in the top of the tree as soon as so yeah, 2024 November, I got a Vertec after the
Expo.
TCIA
Yep.
Expo,
Yep.
and then climbed with it all through that year. Uh, and then in Christchurch, I really had gotten my system dialed in. That
Mhm.
moving rope system, that crossover, the single
Right.
rope, double rope crossover dialed in, and really, really was in a good spot with that system. Loved it.
Mhm.
I loved that system. Loved the way I did it. Done a lot of practice, done a lot of masters at that point in practice, and then didn't ended up not making the finals in Christchurch. Was sixth place, right behind Jamie. And then I had made the decision after that, uh, on the way home, on the plane ride home is a lot of time to think, and I just made the decision, well, I suppose now is the time. I always thought I'd probably do it.
Right.
But, I thought I'd do it when I was kinda done seriously competing and just kinda floating,
Right.
because I imagine at some point out in the future, I'll probably stop really trying
Yeah.
hard and have a certain there'll be a balance period
Yeah.
in which I, like, volunteer and compete, but
Yeah.
just for fun,
Right.
and volunteer and kinda transition into that volunteer space gradually, but, uh yeah, I always thought I'd do it.
Right.
I might single rope full time then. And I always joked with my wife. I was like, "You watch, I'll rack up a bunch of wins in that zone when I let go of like the seriousness of it and you know, just compete for fun and I'll probably start winning, you know."
Right.
Where should have done that sooner. Anyway, I uh
Yeah.
I started in and in Christchurch, it kind of really kind of drove home the importance of speed.
Mhm.
And I I've never really paid much attention to speed in the work climb,
Yeah.
say, but certainly the work climb has gotten. I mean, the times are pretty heinous, man. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
they're really, you know, those guys are really really good.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Pretty good.
They're really fast. So the last time I climbed moving rope was the work climb in ITCC.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, my moving rope system came out of the bag to teach a class one time in the winter.
Was that the
The
Pendel?
Pendel
Yeah.
Symposium,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe that was the spring.
Yeah.
But um, that's it.
Yeah.
And so I mean, okay, so for me, I realize that a lot of climbers are like more balanced approach to this,
Mhm.
and I support that. And if you want to climb moving rope, do it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Learn it.
Oh, yeah.
Get good at it. It's a great style. I might I might go, I fully anticipate break the old moving rope system out at some point
Mhm.
again. So I haven't just it's still sitting in a bag.
Oh, yeah.
But at the way that I learn is full immersion.
Oh, yeah.
I have to learn in
Yeah.
a full immersion. And so it was pretty intuitive. The Vertec really helped that because what the Vertec did over the Rope Runner Pro to me, there's a huge risk of shooting those slick pins out. I'm
Yeah.
not a big slick pin guy.
Right.
And DQing, but also that margin of slack in
Mhm.
between dead stop and full bore is
Mhm.
very narrow.
Yeah.
And so when I got on that Vertec, it did two things. It broadened that margin of slack much
Mhm.
more like the rope wrench.
Right.
So that was with the bollard.
Mhm.
Then it also made the attachments to the rope to rope, say on pre-feeds and
Right.
such like that, um, seamless.
Mhm.
The buttons, whoever came up with that, absolute genius. Like the
Yeah.
Vertec is the biggest thing. I mean, it's the biggest piece of climbing innovation that I've ever seen in
Right.
my career,
Yeah.
besides the tree motion harness. It's
Right.
it's it's the it's the one point in climbing history at which all things were
Yeah.
were done since then.
Yeah.
So, it was actually a pretty smooth transition to the Vertec, and then once I made the decision to start learning how to do masters challenges with single rope systems, you just had to reverse a couple things.
Mhm.
Like you just tied the end of the rope off, you threaded some friction sabers backwards.
Right.
You just had to make sure that your line to the ground was direct from the friction saber. That's completely foreign.
Right.
But otherwise, everything went pretty well similar.
Yeah.
It was pretty intuitive
Yeah, it's managing friction is you're still managing friction just in a different way.
in a different
Yeah.
way. Exactly. Um, so yeah, it was pretty intuitive. I think the other and the other final reason I'll mention was that the Masters Challenge is different from pruning trees in that the way that I prune trees is you hit every branch
Mhm.
and the end of every single limb. Uh Throwing pre-feeds isn't so advantageous on a tree prune because you still have to climb. If you do a portion of the tree and then come down to the pre-feed, hop on the pre-feed, and then do a portion of the tree, you still have to climb back up to where that limb is
Right.
because you've got to prune that
Right.
top of the tree.
Right, right, right.
So a lot of the times you'll just go through, climb up that limb where you would theoretically shoot the pre-feed. You'd climb up that limb and prune it and then
Yeah.
drop through
Yeah,
that
yeah,
union.
yeah.
And so at that point, it's just a redirect. When you hit four arbitrary points in a tree canopy,
Right.
you don't need to climb up to that point in the
Right.
tree. And that's a huge difference to me.
Same. Yeah.
Well, in moving rope, you do have to climb up to that point
Oh, yeah,
because it's
yeah.
very hard to pre-feed.
Yeah.
It's doable, but it's remarkably hard.
Yeah.
Um, and you can pre-feed and jump on those, like we were talking about Bettis's system. Like
Yeah.
if you could throw the pre-feeds and then bing across them on a moving rope system, but then
Mhm.
you'd have the problem of removing the hardware you set in the rope.
Yeah.
Um, so like a basal anchored system is
Oh, yeah.
obviously the solution.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I think the canopy anchor is a bit less vulnerable,
Mhm.
because your anchor point is down at the ground where everybody is.
Correct. Yeah.
So, I guess the transition's been good. I it was hard, man. I'm a sentimental guy. I'm pretty proud, I'm pretty proud of that moving rope and I love it. I love watching people do it. And it was humbling, it was humbling to do it, just to release it and relinquish the hold on it. You just kind of had to let go and it's been a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It's been an awful lot of fun, man. I just full on embraced it, no regrets. And I spent 20 however many years on moving rope. So what are you going to do?
Right.
Here's to the next 20.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm, it's not, I've been on single rope since 2013. So it's not like I just, this is the first time. The only thing that really changed was I started competing single rope
Right, right.
again.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the working wasn't so much, but I started competing single again.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
And that was the main change. It's been really good. It's been fun to learn. I think Jimmy Kilpatrick, after watching Jimmy Kilpatrick win the worlds on it, obviously Bardo changed the way the game was played in a real degree. Um, and so, the credit's got to be given to Barton.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
He's had a massive impact on the
ART,
sport.
if you're not giving that man some sort of cut on twin lines,
Yeah, twin lines for
what
life.
the
Yeah.
heck? Like, yeah, there have
uh,
been more twin lines bought in the
yeah,
last, like, 3, 4 years
yeah,
than
yeah.
ever. Like,
Should probably have some sort of a royalty going
oh,
down to
please. Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just trying to fool around with the different anchor points, exploring the strengths and the weaknesses of the twin line. The friction saver based systems, the strengths and the weaknesses of those. But that was one thing Jimmy Kilpatrick did say, is that he told me was he really had fun learning something new,
Mhm.
especially at this stage of the game,
Oh,
because
yeah.
we've been at it a while. It's like it has been kind of fun to learn something new.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's kind of brings us up to the present, and I'm so excited after 18 years to go back to uh, international in St. Louis, and that was a big year. '08 was a big year in St. Louis for a lot of climbers. That was my first year, Scotty Forrest's first year, Nicky Ward Allen's first year, Joe Hedger, Peter Vergote. Um, there were a few more,
Wow.
and so that was a big year, and it's fun to go back to get in there and throw down again. I
Yeah.
don't think it's the same park, um, but it'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun just the same, and I'm super stoked.
Always feels good to be at Worlds.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the end of the tracks, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the last that's the last show. So, um, yeah, it for new climbers coming up through the ranks, until you have experienced it, you don't really know. So, not winning a Masters challenge doesn't go so hard on you.
Mhm.
But and so comps are just fun, and they're exciting, and they're
Mhm.
great, and it's all joy and no pain and all this fun.
Yep.
Once you get there, the consequence of your chapter events just takes on a whole nother
Oh,
dimension.
amen, brother.
And competing with you, Blaine, in a chapter like Mid-Atlantic, I'm so proud of Mid-Atlantic.
Mhm.
Uh but it's hard. It
Oh,
is
yeah.
really hard. And you know, it's been fun over the years, because I've seen, when I came on, I've been in sequester with David Booth, Robert Gallant, Jerry Langham. Not been in sequester with Jerry Langham. David Booth, Gallant, Scotty Beecher,
Mhm.
who was, gosh, one of the fastest people I've ever seen move through a tree. He never won the MAC, but he was in the Masters every year because he was like lightning.
Wow.
Um, uh, yeah, I've been in sequester with a lot of different guys over the years. It's been like 4 groups over the years. And, Chris Coates, for a while there, it was me, Chris Coates, and Flint. And
Mhm.
then it was Tommy Whitelock came in, uh, Cotter and Booth, Flint phased out. Drew came in,
Yeah.
um, Whitelock phased out, Flint, Chris. and you came in, and then Blaine came
Mhm.
in, and so it's been such an epic journey. Um, but Mac, just to see Mac go through those different eras and stages, could not be more proud of the Mid-Atlantic chapter and, just the amount of work. And then Steph and Sarah coming on,
Mhm.
because Jocelyn Losey left some really big shoes to fill.
Big time.
Uh,
Yeah.
she had a lot of natural climbing ability, and it was fun, a lot of fun to compete with her and train with her. But Steph Littenberg and now Sarah Hood Recant, um, they really put their best foot forward.
Mhm.
So I think Mid Atlantic's in a good spot. And yeah, it kind of gets back to the why of what carries you forward, you know, uh, probably to the chagrin of the younger climbing generation, but you gotta step it up, man.
Yeah.
I ain't leaving until I'm
Oh, no. I
satisfied with
know.
it,
I know.
and I give
Yeah.
Blaine a hard time about it. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Every
yeah,
year, yeah, Luke McCall's like, "When are you guys gonna hang it up?" And you're like, "Not anytime soon, dude. Like, I mean, this is
yeah,
too awesome." Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Jimmy Pritchard and Luke Glines,
Yeah.
those guys are two huge
Big
inspirations.
time.
Burt Coon,
Yeah.
uh, which anyone that doesn't compete on the open circuit or does, if you're 40 and over, you want to compete third weekend of January
There we go. Good one.
every year, Camp Weewa in Florida. Come down to the Legend of the Geezers comp. It is a very difficult comp to win
Mhm.
and a very high level of comp. I have a great time helping out there every year, and it is epic.
Oh, it's
And
one of one. Gosh,
yeah,
it's such a cool event.
yeah,
Yeah.
show up to the Geezers comp, the Legend of the Geezers comp. I know the term geezer really throws a lot of people off.
Mhm.
Don't let it throw you off, man. Just ignore the name if it bothers you, and just come down and throw down because it is some high level
Mhm.
stuff. And man, the oldest age bracket of guys in their 60s, mid
Yeah.
60s, that is so competitive. Like
Yep.
those guys go hard at it.
Right. Well, and
And
they're all training too.
oh
I mean,
yeah,
like
they're practicing.
that's what's so crazy of
Oh
like
yeah.
they're like Tim let me into their little like kind of group chat to see like
Yeah.
how they're like going tit for tat with one another, and I'm like, hell yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah, and
so
I get a
cool.
big window into that with John Trenchard, and the man has some dedication.
Yeah.
In his 60s, he has some dedication, and it's so inspiring.
Oh,
So, in
it's
an answer to Luke McCall's question, how long are you guys going to go? Maybe another 20 years. You
right.
never
Oh
know.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
So, here's to another 20.
Absolutely, man.
So, it's good fun. It's a great game. It's a
Yeah.
great game. I also have to need to take the time, for one, to thank my Heavenly Father for giving me the health and the strength to do it, and the why for life.
Yeah.
The why for life. Got to thank my kids. Massive shout out to my children. They've
Mhm.
grown up with this stupid game, and one day I suppose maybe I'll get their perspective on what it was like
Yeah.
being kids with a dad who was weirdly obsessed with this weird game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll get it from them one day.
Yeah.
And then finally, my employees, to be able to show up every day and just really put their best foot forward and be the best tree crews that I can ever imagine. Those guys are some really really good tree crews. It's Brian Campbell, Steve Canale, um, uh, Blaine Bledsoe, Mike Blashford, and then my newest hire is he's working actually the summer vacation out of school with us.
Okay.
Is one of my neighbors actually. I've known him since he was a little kid, Ronan Brackbill. So he's starting to
Nice.
get settled in. And
Nice.
then Chase Anderson, actually, I forgot Chase. Sorry, Chase. Chase Anderson is just phenomenal. So those guys hold down a great gig. And if you want to work for a small company that prunes trees and and does trees, figure out how to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
And let me know.
Yeah.
Because I have been looking for a pruner for a little bit. So
Nice.
I don't know if that's permitted on your
Oh,
pod,
totally fine. Yeah.
but yeah, figure out how to get a hold of me if you're
Yeah.
interested, and you don't have to be young, you don't have to be fast, just have to be, just have a passion for it and an interest in learning how to climb,
Mhm.
and I'm sure we can teach whatever you don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to climb with you earlier. And that's good.
Oh, it was
Getting
a
cold.
blast.
Um, Stoked to do it again end of the month. But yeah, I know yeah, it's a lot to sit down and talk and be away from the fam. So I greatly appreciate that. And yeah, for everyone listening, I hope this was impactful for you all. That it was, you know, I I could sit here and talk with you for another 3 hours about
Feel
tree
like we've
climbing.
just
So
gotten started.
I know.
It's wild.
Um,
Sorry for the 3-hour thing, guys.
yeah, no, that's it's turning into a bit of a theme. Is if we don't go over 2 hours, I'm a little concerned.
The good
Uh,
thing about podcasts, I guess you can take it in digestible chunks.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time and sharing stories, and
Oh, it's good fun.
it'll just help everybody, you know, at whatever stage people hear this in their career, they could hear it now, 20 years from now, whatever. It'll all have awesome lessons for people to take away. So
Good.
yeah,
Excellent.
cool. All right. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, man. See ya.
See ya. All right. Episode over. Thank you, James. That was a proper conversation. It's good long one. It's amazing how time flies when you're fully engulfed in great company, having great conversation around something that you love so much. So thank you again for that. Uh, I hope that all of you really took away some great lessons and hopefully got psyched in the process of hearing us talk through that stuff. So yeah, if you again would do us a solid, and if you're again into what we're doing, you know, like and subscribe wherever you're listening to this. Drop a review, whether it's Spotify or Apple. Whether it's on Amazon Music or even on YouTube. Comment all that kind of stuff. We very much appreciate any any level of feedback as well as just promotion of getting it out to other people. So I know that growing up in the Mid-Atlantic chapter and chasing James for so long and then getting to know James and compete alongside James and be pushed by him and hopefully push him back. It's just helped me grow, and sitting down and having this conversation with James further solidified that, at least for me. So hopefully it did for you as well. That you know, there's a lot to take away. So please do us a solid and share this with other people. Again, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Leave us the reviews and help us grow this thing together. We want to keep pumping this content out and get it to you. And the bigger we can, I guess, make it and have it spread out further, I don't know. Hopefully, the more conversations we can have with other tree climbers and get people psyched and elevate the game and elevate the standard and just keep making this whole thing better. So help us out so we can help you out better in making your drives and your travels filled with more tree climbing adventure stuff. So with that, get out there, train hard, have some fun, big swings, work hard, get out there, ring some bells. We'll see you next time. Cheers.